Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the New England Summer Cup live from OneUp Games. My name is HP Bowser64, and I'm joined here by the wonderful Soabs, and I'm on the cast here today. And it's time for the first really major Mario Kart World Tournament in 2025.
Yeah, we were talking about this prior to the event going live, but you know, it's still very fresh. It's a fresh game. People are still learning the ins and outs. There's still so much. And yet somehow the skill level is already off the charts.
There is no doubt.
It's insane.
No doubt about it right now. The technical skill of Mario Kart World, the ceiling is all the way up into the heavens right now. It's such a technically advanced game compared to any other Mario Kart that has come before it. And we're seeing a lot of these sort of strategies develop in real time, especially with the new inclusion of some of the new driving skills including including rail gliding
Yes.
and wall riding, which you'll see a lot of today.
Yeah, even before coming live, we were kind of wandering the lobby, and you could see players were just constantly, let's not forget rewinding too.
Yeah.
Because they were constantly rewinding, making sure they can try to figure out, can I hit this gap? Can I take this rail grind to a wall jump? And then use that to kind of cut parts of the track. So there's still so much. Even in the middle of this, we're going to see who's really willing to take those risks to try to bring home the incredible cup here. At the end of it all.
Yeah, definitely. Rewinding, unfortunately, is not available in the multiplayer setting. No. It's only a single-player thing, but it's still good to have that rewind feature, just helping you prepare for these sort of shortcuts. Yes. It's an easier way to just rewind than have to go all the way back around the track to practice the shortcuts. So a very good quality of life feature that Nintendo added for that single-player aspect of Mario Kart World. Still, though, it's going to be interesting to see how these players are going to adapt to sort of scenarios. Maybe you don't feel comfortable on a shortcut. Maybe you want to just try to play it safe. So it'll be interesting to see how each of these players adapts to the ever-changing situation as the game goes on.
I don't know that there's like a safe position though, Bowsy, because I mean it's like we had said, it's only been a month out. People are still. It doesn't matter how much you really grind these. How confident are you really in an intermission in a course? Considering the courses are very flexible too. How comfortable can you really be at this point in time? It might just come down to, can you take risks or did you grind enough? But thankfully, due to our setup for today, you've got plenty of chances to really kind of work out all those kinks.
Yeah, definitely. There are plenty of chances you're going to be able to do. A quick overview of what our setup is going to be here today. We're going to have mostly 5 rounds. 2 qualifier matches. The top 4 from the qualifiers will move on to the finals. The bottom 6 from that, or at least the next 6 people, or the next whatever number it is, will go over to a last chance qualifier, where you'll then pick up 4 from there. After that comes our finals, which is split into 2 parts. One is a normal, I believe, 12 lap? 12 race Grand Prix, but then also a knockout tour, which, depending on your placement in the knockout tour, you actually get a percentage extra of the amount you build up in that final 12-race Grand Prix. So your position in knockout tour can mean a lot, and it means there's a lot of variability to see how these players can do.
Yeah, it gives you a little bit of a chance to kind of just maybe flex a little bit, too, if this is your mode of choice. Gives you a chance to kind of maybe catch up and close the gaps, because we have seen in the past here for the Winter Cup, it's very close at times. Some of those like 3rd, 4th positions really do kind of end up very close points-wise. So, first place getting an extra 20% bonus all the way kind of down a couple at a time really can make the difference. And since, a lot of these players here are seasoned competitors, I think that might be something they may be, not hoping to have to, lean on. But it's good to know in the back of your head that the percentage bonus can help you.
Yeah, not to mention the point system in this game. No offense to Nintendo. It's whack. It's like 15, 12, 10, 9, 9, 9, 8, 8, 8, 7, 7. It's like, it's a weird point system, so having that sort of knockout tour to allow you to get some extra points can help out. Say you're not able to get all the way to the top, but you're still able to be consistent. You're still in contention even with the knockout tour, and especially with that knockout tour. So it'll be interesting to see how these players are going to be able to adapt to these sort of situations, and which ones are going to be the best, not just in normal races, but also in that knockout tour bonus.
And again, being so new, like the knockout tour itself is such a new thing. It's worth noting we will have computers on for the majority of these, particularly in the knockout tour as well. But we'll have them up until the final round as well, simply because like the game accommodates it. It does affect how many players you have. It'll affect your items. It's the difference of getting 1 blue shell in a round versus the 2 to 3 that you might find out from having these multiple players. How many different lightnings, drop? How many red shells get thrown at you? All those numbers do vary based on the amount of players in lobby. So that kind of predictability is also shifting amongst this too.
Yeah, everything can change, especially when you increase that player count from 12 to 24, which is the main selling point of Mario Kart World, doubling the amount of players, having the most amount of racers in one race at a time. So that means there's a lot more opportunities for chaos in the middle of it all. But the chaos is about to begin as we're about to get into the first lobby here. Starting off with our first qualifier, we have about 9 players right now who are going to be competing in this lobby right now, 9 players who are in this lobby. Mr. OneUp, Ember, Kane, Jinja, Bowser Boy, Knight, Bento, Awoken, and J-Dash will be in this first lobby. There is a gap there. That's just because those are where the players are seated in our area. Setups 5, 6, and 9 are currently unoccupied. But we're going to start out with 9 people in this round.
And this is a pretty fierce 9. If you are familiar here with PlayEX, you've seen a lot of these names before, but particularly, you know, J-Dash is our 3rd place from the Winter Cup, has done well otherwise. You know, just Awoken Knight. These are names that if you are anywhere familiar, like I'm not familiar with the Mario Kart scene. I am a new face here, and I recognize these names just from doing, like, you know, just from seeing them around events, seeing them here. Like, these are all very strong players, so this is a tough field for what it is.
Yeah, you mentioned, of course, J-Dash being 3rd in the New England Winter Cup. It's worth noting that the past champion is not here.
Yes,
so we are going to be having potentially a new champion here in this. But nonetheless, we're going to have a new champion anyway. It's a new game. This is Mario Kart World. It's nothing like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. So it's going to be interesting to see if we see a new champion step up to the plate and show themselves worthy here in this tournament.
Yeah, and a lot of it is going to come down to how do you conquer those new mechanics? What did you find in your studies? You know, in a way, similar to what we have in TFT called study groups. You know, who are you learning with? Who are you learning from? Who are you sharing these with? And who are you, like, helping you to grow along the way? So, you know, a lot of these players expect to see some of the, honestly, expect to see just some of the most insane track routes you will ever see. And if this is an indicator of the future of Mario Kart World, this is a bright future, Bouncy.
Yeah, this is very much a bright future. And again, you said those crazy routes. You're about to see a lot of those interesting maneuvers. Again, shortcuts aplenty. There are so many no-item shortcuts in this game because of those new mechanics. It's absurd. This game truly, again, is a technical marvel, and you really need to be the best, which is why I'm not playing today. So,
oh, get out of here. No, you could. I think you could have hung with these guys, but we're happy to have you. We're always happy to have, you know, the former pro lead the way here, because don't ask me what we're seeing. We're just going to see a lot of people, a lot of chaos, like you had said, but chaos is waiting. We're getting the last of the players into lobby, and course selection is going to be coming up soon. I believe it is going to be pick and then random from each of the players, correct?
So the way it's going to work is that you can choose any race that you want. That includes intermissions, or what some people call connect tracks, mainly referred to in the community as intermissions, which is when you travel from one track to another. So if people really wanted to make it so they're doing Straight Line Simulator, they have the opportunity to, but they can also pick any track in the game. That can include any of the 3-lap circuits, as we have the option to, as we see here from Ginger's cam right now. That is the opportunity they have. It's going to be interesting to see what tracks is going to be selected here for our first race here of the New England Winter Cup. And it looks like we're going to be going over to Boo Cinema for our first race.
Ah, the old spooky haunts. This one in particular, very, very interesting. You know, there's, like you said, a lot of chances to wall ride, a lot of ways to cut those corners into this one. So, you know, in addition to a lot of that, there's a lot of those flight lines. So watch these aerial jumps, watch for how they navigate these corners, and watch to see what they try to cut off, because that, again, you can't necessarily get on all of these rails, but the flight lines are going to be important.
As we start off here on Boo Cinema, the first race of the New England Summer Cup, the first race of our first Mario Kart World Grand Prix. Also, fittingly, one of my favorite tracks in the game. Ginger already taking a start here, and you're going to notice as well, a lot of these players are using this kart. This is the baby blooper. Pretty much this has been decided to be the meta kart combo here in this game. Yeah,
there is a little bit of flexibility in regards to the character of choice, but not nearly as much. They're going to go ahead and just drop back, just bag it out. See what he can get, try to get into the back line, carry forward. Not the best, but you're happy with the bill for now.
Yeah, if you can try to make your way up with that bullet bill, it could make a difference here later in the race here, especially because we still have the item that many people hate, Mario Kart players dreaded, is the lightning bolt. So we'll have to see what is going to be a come of night here. Though this track is a very difficult track to really, what you would say, bag on, stay in the back toward, because this cut right here on the first corner, that is the only shortcut on the entire track that you can use a mushroom on. So it's very difficult to make your way up to the front.
Yeah, and you can see it reflected in the course. Like, the pack is still very together. There's not necessarily, you know, our player characters just kind of running away with it. Even hitting in the front there, there's still a very, very tight, you know, just tight group of these racers. So still very anybody chances game coming into this last lap.
Swash, however, is going to be leading for a bit, but ends up getting hit out by the hammers. He's going to get hit out as well, and that's probably the biggest problem with Mario Kart World. There's basically no invulnerability frame, so you could just keep getting massacred at any chance you got. Final lap, though, on Boo Cinema. Bento, however, making their way up with the Ghost, is going to be able to get 2 mushrooms in their pocket now.
you could see them. We haven't seen a ton of wall riding. It's because a lot of this isn't very solid, so there's not a lot of great chances to do it. Try to get up. Players avoiding that high ground path, just knowing that it's not worth it trying to get any of those wall rides or try to ride off the top of that. You'll see that later in other courses.
Jinja, meanwhile, leading the pack. The lightning bolt does come right before the final item set, so Jinja will be able to get a final item here, as will the rest of the pack, and that pretty much might secure a first place here for Jinja. The fight, however, is for right behind them. Bento in third, trying to pass up this Daisy right in front of him again with that baby blooper. Ice Flowers come in, are able to dodge them, and it's going to be Bento coming in third. Jinja obviously winning the race with the Nabbit pick, but still a pretty entertaining first race here on Boost Cinema to start the Mario Kart World competitive experience.
Like you said, the blooper cart is kind of the one of choice, and like I had kind of alluded to, the racers do matter a little bit. The weight classes aren't necessarily as effective, but I will start to see kind of down the road if a lot of these lighter characters kind of come through. Josh Allen, yep, that would be Jinja, I believe, up at the top there, and rounding it out. Most of our players did manage to avoid falling out of that, but like you said, it's a fairly safe opening course. It's not necessarily taking full advantage of some of those new mechanics we had seen, but you still have to have your fundamentals to be able to win, right? You still have to be able to know when can you take boosts, how do you drift appropriately, when do you use your items, and like Knight tried, when do you try to fall back and use those random mechanics to your advantage?
Yeah, exactly. Boost Cinema, in my opinion, is probably the easiest track to front run in this game because, again, the only shortcut is on that first corner. There's no way you can really make a shortcut outside of that. So it'll be interesting to see as we go into more of these tracks that might have more of those shortcut opportunities, which one is going to be taking advantage of them. As we see already a lot of different track selections, but it's going to be Dino Jungle that is the call here for our second race.
Was Bowser Boy's pick worth noting in that kind of, again, holding into those middle of the pack numbers there at 9. Nobody really falling too far behind Kane, Bowser Boy, and Bento, unfortunately, hitting towards the middle of that pack outcome. But Dino Park in particular, again, a lot of different angles. I would expect to see a lot more wall riding off of this. Not necessarily because you're going to be able to make some great skips, but just because it'll be able to get some different places.
Here we go, beginning on Dino Jungle, and you already noticed that we have a different dino at the front, which actually can act as a ramp. One of the biggest improvements to this track is that they have added more dinos and made it so the dinos are actually part of a track. This dinosaur, for example, it's a rail grind you can make that way.
Knight.
Unfortunately, Knight takes a little bit too far off the wrong back and ends up getting hit. But you have to be careful when you're heading to this laboratory because surprise comes... Nope, not yet.
Not yet. It has to be the
eventually.
later laps.
Eventually.
Yeah.
Has to be on the later laps. But you can see it's an entire dinosaur laboratory now. As we see Squash currently making her way up to 4th and Awoken in 7th.
And you saw a couple of the players really try to aim, like you called out, grinding on the dinosaurs. You can see the players are starting to try to use those mechanics, those kinds of wall rides into those. Bento missed that, unfortunately, but trying to see if they can get a little bit of boost off of those jumps, hitting that patch. A little unfortunate, but now that that path is off, maybe it'll be a little bit more strict to a race.
And it's worth noting that we just saw Bento try to go for a sort of strat that's new to this game as well. That is the charge jump.
Yes.
Basically think of a stationary jump trick. That is what a charge jump could do. And meanwhile, we have a dinosaur breaking through the laboratory as Ember makes their way on that shortcut and gets up to 6.
Yeah, Jurassic Park is real, and what else is real is that we have several members of the pack pulling away. So, 24 members, but there's still 5 or 6 near the front. I see the Daisy floating away at the front and just slowly running away with it. And that's what happens in this game after a while is, when you start hitting those tricks, when you get more jumps, when you use those charge jumps, they give you the little bit of boost that gives you the edge.
Final lap on Dino Jungle. Jinja making their way up is going to throw a red shell over to Squash, who's going to get hit by the brute force, but the super horn is there from Squash to deny it. The bomb as well getting hit. We get Bowser Boy, I believe, but ends up getting their mushroom stolen as well right before that final shortcut. Has to go for this double item box. Need to try to make this work as they have a good item set right now to keep themselves alive, but the rest of the pack is starting to pass them. Triple Bananas and Green Shell is going to be all Jinja has to hope for to keep themselves up. They're going to be making their way up through the pack. Squash gets hit by that red shell, and Jinja just barely able to get to the finish line before the blue shell hits, securing a 4th place finish.
Still not bad. That's still a decent chunk of points for Jinja, who is, our winner from the previous round. So I believe it's 5 rounds. So every single race, 6 rounds. Yes, 6 rounds. Sorry. There's a space for those kinds of small errors to be made, take a loss, but you genuinely, this is the point where we'll start to see, with the numbers being this wide, you can see it 3 at 20 already, and the rest of the pack has a lot of work to do. Nikes and Jinja, and I believe number 3 was Awoken there. So, again, strong players. We saw them perform well in the Winter Cup. unsurprising that they're doing well here.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe skill is adapted to a different sort of style Mario Kart world. But obviously, these players know how to adapt. They played Mario Kart 8 Deluxe probably for 11 years at this point, so they know the basics. It's just mastering those more complex strategies they had to get used to. And if you already know the basics, then the complex strategies are a breeze. So. Good start so far for some of the players that have shown that they can prove themselves at the top of the level. It's going to be interesting to see what track we end up going to next here. It looks like we might be going to Toad's Factory, actually.
Factory, okay. Again, a lot more of tight lines on this factory. It's very, very turn involved. So, again, we kind of saw grinding on this one. I would assume watch for more wall rides on this one. You have a lot of places where you can kind of use those to get jumps to try to give yourself a little bit of boost to give yourself some clear from the pack.
This is probably going to be the easiest place to watch rail grinding and wall riding here in the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, or Mario Kart World New England Summer Cup. Can you tell I'm so used to playing that game for 11 years? Regardless, J-Dash is going to start leading the pack right into the factory.
And J-Dash, again, putting up a fantastic showing, number 3 in our last Winter Cup here. You'd expect them to be on the race. A couple quick rail grinds there to get ahead, but J-Dash is using just those small jumps. Again, just getting every chance of speed. Great dodge on that banana, too. But just every flip, every little boost of speed makes the difference for a player like J-Dash.
They head through these hairpin turns inside of the factory, taking the tight line, even though the conveyor says otherwise. And now this is where this track actually shows a lot of rail grinding. These new steel beams are rails, and you can grind right off of those to take a much tighter line and make your way right to the finish line. J-Dash showing it to perfection.
Yeah, I'd say beautifully done. And that's the kind of stuff that will eventually just become, a must-play here. Great hit from that. And the rest of the pack still keeping it close. So, lap 1 going into lap 2, still very, very close. Every shortcut will make the difference here.
You already see Bento making those rail jumps, trying to get a lot of speed, but here comes the blue shell, the first proper blue shell of the day, thunder. And the lightning bolt as well. That's going to be a lot of damage toward J-Dash in the lead right now, as the rest of the pack now grouped up together with 0 items. Some do have some items. They're able to get them on the conveyor belt stuff.
Yeah, the conveyor belts, again, you saw a lot of players just kind of scoot by them, take that advantage. Like you said, these steel beams, so important. J-Dash, again, going for it. Can't quite catch that connector, but that's good enough. You'll take a little bit of slowdown considering the rest of the pack. You have a little bit of gap.
Yeah, good enough gap here as the final lap of Toad's Factory begins. J-Dash does have some protection as well. Meanwhile, Night and Awoken with triple green shells apiece trying to find their way to the front using these conveyor belts as they try to catch up to J-Dash and take that lead away.
It's worth noting as we're looking at Knight. Knight is maxed out on coins. Remember, the old max used to be 10, 20 now to make sure you are at full speed. So some players may be a little behind on that, but it looks like J-Dash is just ready to run away with this. They are miles ahead going into this last shortcut.
J-Dash definitely a factory worker at the prime, knowing Toad's Factory in and out, going to be taking the lead. It's all in position for the back. Jinja using the mushrooms, not even going for the rail, going to hit Awoken for the red shell. Oh! And the Silver Horn is there from Awoken to keep themselves safe and make sure Jinja cannot pass them. Jinja falls back to 6 after looking at a second place finish just seconds before.
Yeah, that's tough because that's the joys of the itemization of these large lobbies. It's a lot more predictive, and you get a lot more protective items at this point when you get near the top. So just an unfortunate come. Still 2 at 30, and I believe that is J-Dash up at top at 40. Unsurprising, but that was a very dominant showing from J-Dash, like just beautifully done. All 3 times knew exactly the route, knew exactly how to take those shortcuts. And this is what we were talking about when it's like, it's still so early in this game's life, but people are innovating so quickly. They've caught that. They figured out how they can connect from those steel beams down to those bulldozers and try to keep that going the best they can. That's the stuff you're going to have to learn right away. Yeah,
definitely, and especially when it comes to a track like Toad's Factory, there's what I like to call the item driving skill split, which basically says how much do you have to know item awareness and item usage, and how much do you need to know driving, depending on how well you could do on Mario Kart. Toad's Factory, as we saw, is definitely one where the skill can matter more than the items, because it didn't matter what items were hitting J-Dash, they were still able to run away with the lead here, as we're going to be heading over now to Moo Moo Meadows, another classic from Mario Kart Wii, for our 4th race of this GP.
I mean, I would argue that this is the closest to a fan favorite that's probably going to be sitting around. It's been, beloved since we got Moo Moo Meadows back in '64, so unexpected that this would eventually show up. Again, a relatively straightforward crack, like you said, kind of similar to Boo, where we're going to see more of the driving be the impactful. But do keep an eye out, because there is a chance that you can maybe get on some of these fences for some quick boosts.
Those fences actually do act as rails, and also jumping on top of the cows does not hurt you. It actually does count as a jump boost, so you might see some players try to go for that strategy. You already see some players already charging up charge jumps as they head into that final corner, trying to take that corner as tight as possible. Mr. OneUp staying toward the back, currently in the middle of the pack with some defense to keep themselves alive, is unfortunately hitting that CPU Luigi, who just doesn't want to get hit, it seems. But still, you're going to see a lot of these players start to break out, and at the front of the pack, it's already those daisies. Bento, I believe, in second. J-Dash does get hit, but still leading the pack with the rest of the field behind them.
Still fairly early, and if you are watching, there's our first blue shell, meaning that we will probably see another one of those in the later, but is every item out, catches a bomb from Mr. OneUp and throws in the boombox just to try not to fall too far behind. Sometimes you have to make those desperate plays just to keep yourself alive.
Awoken, meanwhile, in fourth, and once again, it's J-Dash right at the front of the field with the Daisy Baby blooper combo, just knowing how to make these lines tight. It doesn't matter if there's no rails or walls to really run on. J-Dash is still making use of the sort of technical skill, taking the corners tight and knowing how to drive this track.
It's still fundamentals, like you kind of said earlier. You still have to know, and Bowser Boy knows that fundamental of, look, I have the things to go forward. I might as well use them. Gets caught out in the grass, though. Finally decides to pop that gold mushroom, and that's a little bit. Still in 14th, you are able to push yourself into that top 10 position with this gold shroom, but it's still not. There's still work to be done.
Final lap here on Moo Moo Meadows, and J-Dash gets hit by Awoken here in the late stages. Awoken now in the lead. Squash right on their bumper. Squash gets hit by the red shell by Bento, who now takes over second place, and it's a dogfight right now for the lead.
Yeah, this is, again, one of those spaces where J-Dash has been a dominant competitor, but when you don't have ththose tricks, you don't have those shortcuts and lines, the rest of this field is still very competitive. What a shot.
There comes a star power, but a lightning dodge in first place for Jinja and Nabbit. Jinja using the lightning dodge to get all the way up to the lead. A triple red shell in hand. Misses the backspam, however. Still needs to try and get across the line, but there's barely any items right behind him. Red shell, however, in their path. Jinja, unfortunately, not able to get to the line in time. Are they going to be able to win the race? Squash right behind him. Another red shell. Squash takes away the lead from Jinja in the final quarters. Jinja falls back to fourth, but considering he had a star, that tells me that he was probably very far back, so that's better than wherever the heck they were before that lightning bolt hit.
Oh yeah, that's the randomness of it all, right? It doesn't matter. Until you cross that finish line, you are never safe. Whether you're in first, 8th, or 24th, you are still bound to get hit by whatever there. We have our first player rounding over 50 in J-Dash, and I mean, we're kind of now starting to see the hierarchy. We are carrying 4 out of this first group, but we're kind of starting to see which 4 are likely to move on. But there's still a little bit of spacing left where if you get, steal first place and second place, you can keep yourself alive for that last chance qualifier.
Yeah, right now it all determines on how these last 2 races go, but right now there is a single point separating 4th from 5th right now in the rankings. So anything can happen, and whatever does happen can affect that standing immeasurably. We're already seen some of those rail grinds that I was talking about. J-Dash riding on the fence there, trying to get some value, but unfortunately misses the wall ride there to get more value. But still, it's going to be interesting to see how these players approach this next track selection. A lot of interesting tracks here, some which have a lot of technical skill, others which are sort of middle-of-the-road packs. But we're going to be heading to Faraway Oasis here for our 5th race of this 6th race Grand Prix.
You got to give it, Bowsy. We are definitely seeing the world here. So that's always at least interesting. We're getting a lot of the animals out early as well. So again, similar to like you had noted, the other thing worth noting, the cows, similar to the animals, you can boost off of them. You can go ahead and, I believe it's called character jumping or character bouncing.
Yes, you can also jump off of other racers as well.
So a lot of, again, that new mechanic where as opposed to spinning out, or kind of an evolution of that kind of spin mechanic from the from Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. But we'll have to see, because this is, again, another rail-heavy map that players are still going to try to catch those bonus drifts from. Yeah,
a lot of rails, a lot of walls as well as a water section in the middle here. You're going to see some people take this rail section right here. Some are actually going to be going on that rail to the left and jumping off the wall to get a little bit of an extra speed boost. J-Dash, not going for any of that. It's the first lap. You don't want to risk it. Instead, just going to take the safe route, not go for these rails, and wait until the later laps to be able to make their move.
Yeah, it is a little risky considering you don't know necessarily who's following you, and some people may just be relying on their raw driving skill. But Knight, he's one of those players just trying to make sure they can stay and play through. The Ghost comes in and gets 3 mushrooms. That's decent considering how still pretty close together we are. Could have cut that corner, fortunately denied.
Blue Shell is out, however, gets the top players here at the beginning of Faraway Oasis as we head into lap number 2 here with Kane on board. Fortunately, not having a great start right now, 14th. But again, you're still less than halfway done with this race, so there is still the potential for the comeback, especially when you have a golden mushroom in hand.
That is going to be a little bit of boost, but again, it's going to be players like Jinja who are trying to make sure they can hit all these rails. A great jump. Oh, gets stunned out on that. Unfortunate.
Yeah, gets hit by the star as well from Bowser Boy, who ends up dodging that lightning bolt, is making their way all the way up to first right now. Bento right on their bumper, though, so there still is the potential here for anyone to take this lead, and there's still one more lap here on Faraway Oasis. But for now, Bowser Boy leading the field with money in hand.
Yeah, full 16, so not quite the max points, but slowly getting closer there. And pulling away, I believe that's going to be J-Dash probably right behind them. So while they've pretty secured a top position for now, it's not guaranteed as that blue shell's out.
Blue Shell comes out here for Bowser Boy, trying to make their way toward the top, trying to keep themselves alive. Gonna get hit by that Blue Shell late. Here comes Bento using the wall ride right onto the rail, building up every single bit of speed as they make their way onto the rail from the water ride. Bento making it all the way to the lead and showing their technical skill at max capacity.
Jeez, that was a tight gap to jump that rail, hit the wall ride, and come back. And that's, again, that level of innovation we're seeing from players. Last bit of jumps, no one is in sight. Bento with a clean first place. This is a chance for them to kind of submit into, get into those top 4 positions.
Then Bowser Boy, however, going to be snapping in that second place, so only lost that one position. Good shortcut there on that final hairpin. That is a really good shortcut if you know how to do it. Kane going to be rounding up a 6th place. Looks like Awoken might have gotten a 5th in that race as well. Mr. OneUp, unfortunately, toward the back of the pack. Unfortunately, just not feeling the Hakuna Matata spirit right now.
Yeah, unfortunately, that is Mr. One down for the time being. But again, still chances, still last chance qualifier. I gotta say, this round really shook up a lot of those players. Bento was playing very close, and Jinja and Awoken falling just out there. But a lot of new faces coming into this, so this is where that track variance, we saw so many courses in Mario Kart 8, but that track variance between the intermissions, the 3 laps, there's so many different choices. It's really hard to prepare for all of this.
Yeah, the big thing now is that we're heading into our final race of the GP, which means we're going to be deciding our top 4 after this. And right now, that gap is very slow. If I saw correctly, it was 52,
yes,
51, 48, and then 45. So right now, 3rd through 5th all have a possibility, and who knows, maybe even 6th, depending on how bad your performance can be on this last race. So anything can happen here as we head into the final race of this first qualifier round. And it's going to be interesting to see what track it's going to be. It looks like it's going to be Whistle Stop Summit. Again, another track where technical skill is absolutely at its maximum.
Yeah, and we'll see a lot of those old similar skills in regards to item dodging as well, with how windy and bendy this can be. So those kinds of red shell dodges, just protecting yourself from a lot of these new items does get to be a little bit more easier while you're taking turns, but also a little bit difficult, particularly in that kind of twisted 8 section there. It's going to be hard to get real value out of a lot of those items, so knowing when to commit into items is going to be key.
As we head on to Whistle Stop Summit, you'll immediately recognize, I've talked about rail grinding. Well, how about train rail grinding? That is exactly what you can do here, as every single way you go on this track, there is a train rail that you can grind on to get some extra speed.
Eat your heart out, Tony Hawk. This is, we're coming for you, I guess, here. But it did catapult Jinja into the front.
Oh, gets bumped off the track.
I was just about to say, that's the caster's curse. I was just about to say bumped him into the first place, but it's Bento who bumped their way all the way up to the top. And this is that windy section where it's going to be hard to get value out of some of those items.
It's going to matter on which path you decide to take here. It depends on that path to be able to get your way. Bento tries to go for the feather to take that shortcut, but doesn't have enough speed. Blue Shell, however, is out for the leader. I believe that's J-Dash who ended up getting hit as well. Yep, J-Dash getting hit here by the Blue Shell. Going to lose some positions here, go back to 5th. But still, you have 2 laps to make this work here on Whistle Stop Summit, as right now they're trying to make their way back up to the front.
And this is difficult because the pathing isn't very clear. How much do you really give up? Can you clear this little shortcut?
Yes,
You'll see
can.
it again. J-Dash, and you saw Squash do it as well. Just try to use those wall jumps to negate the grass penalty. Very well done. Not easy to do.
Yeah, definitely. That is a very hard shortcut to do, but the charge jump into the wall rides can help make that shortcut effective. Squash up here toward the top as well. I believe one of those players is trying to chase it down, barely using the mushroom in time to keep themselves alive from the red shell here as the final lap begins here on Whistle Stop Summit. Who is making it up to the finals and who's going to the LCQ?
We're seeing a lot of the competitive grade. Oh, a different route. Great wall ride route. I like that take there to try to cut a little bit of that corner down. But J-Dash, again, just getting some raw value one more time, looking for this boost off the walls. Beautifully done. Maybe a little slow there, but I mean, considering they are in the lead, they know exactly how to master that.
Triple bananas as well for J-Dash right now, just holding on to this position, trying to make their way forward. If you're Awoken right now, do you go for the wrist? Oh, J-Dash falls off the track, too far to the right, misses the rail. Now Awoken up to the lead. Awoken needs this. They are in that position right now where they need to try and win it.
Wow.
They take the mushroom onto the cut. The blue shell nowhere in sight. Awoken is going to win here on Whistle Stop Summit. Jinja right behind them. J-Dash suffices with a third after falling off after the final item set. What a,
wow.
He almost had it locked up, and just one mistake. That shows sometimes the risk is not worth it. So
no, but it's so, it's high risk, high reward, right? Like sometimes you feel like, if you hit that, you can clear the track, you can secure that first place. Thankfully, J-Dash 67, not a worry, could take that risk. Just recognize that they don't need to. Bento, and that is Jinja in 3, 67, 64. And Awoken tied into Jinja at 63. So very clear top 4 going into that, but not, still very close when you think about the general points of that top 4. Very, very close race across those 6.
Yeah, definitely. It showed to be a very close affair between every single player there, and you could tell that all those players were really fighting. Again, between the tie for 3rd and 6th was 10 points.
Yes.
That's a 3rd place finish. A good finish could turn around that entire match. So overall, not a bad showing from a lot of these racers who are coming into this basically probably for their first time playing in a Mario Kart World Tournament. So they're showing that they know what they can handle the LAN tournament like this.
And we've seen so much about what this game can bring, how it elevates the game. This being one of our first really good look at how to adapt, what the new mechanics really bring. We're seeing so many of these strong players using those mechanics. They already understand their routes and their pathing so well. So, if nothing else, take your notes now. Understand what you're going to need for the future, because down the road for other events, these are going to be standard route things you have to know.
Yeah, you have to know these sort of things if you want to be at the top level of Mario Kart World. It's like all of the shortcuts you used to use in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, in Mario Kart 7, Mario Kart Wii. There are some shortcuts that are banned, but that's besides the point. Yeah. But regardless of which, you have to really memorize this if you want to be considered the best of the best at Mario Kart World. And also, it could be impactful when it comes to those intermissions, which we didn't see any in that Grand Prix. But if an intermission is chosen, that means you only get 1 lap on the track, which means that 1 lap you have to perfect every shortcut the first time.
Well, remember, we will probably see some of those intermissions in the knockout later down the road. So like you said, maybe it's not going to be the most interesting courses, but it is going to come down to how well do you know your routes? How well do you know where you can get those small jumps and those rail grinds, and what walls can you jump off of, and how can you separate your pack using those items? Like you said, it's not necessarily the most interesting, but there's still some challenges amongst those intermissions.
Yeah, definitely. The intermissions can make or break your race and really add a different flavor. Not saying I'm with them, but that's the it's worth noting that that's what intermissions can do for this game.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see if anyone decides to step into the devil's deal and decide to go for intermissions here. It seems like we do have our standings for the first Grand Prix here. J-Dash taking the lead with 67 points. Bento and second with 64. Awoken and Jinja tied with 63 apiece. All 4 of those players will be moving on to the grand finals immediately. Then you have Squash and Bowser Boy, 58 and 53. Knight with only 50 points. Kane with 45, and then Mr. OneUp with 33. All those players that we just mentioned, they're all going over to the last chance qualifier, which will bring an extra 4 players up to the grand finals.
And it's worth noting that, 5, 6, 7, all very close. They had moments. They had first places, Bowsy. They all did very well at respective points. Sometimes it's just how the randomness of the levels and of the maps really play out for you. So just keep trying to give yourself those advantages where you can. This is a very random game, and sometimes you just have to use your edge however you can get it. And maybe it's an intermission. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's just whatever it takes.
I mean, listen, I recently competed in the PlayEX Open, which was the first PlayEX tournament that we experimented with before OneUp Games, and I dubbed myself the Intermission King because I was winning every intermission track that we were able to do. So who knows? Maybe someone here is the Intermission King, and I'll be handing my crown over to them, which graciously I would like to do that. I'd rather not be known as the Intermission King in Mario Kart World.
No, I mean, we understand that those are a bit contentious, so I can see how. I say, you know much more than I do. They're fine. I have no problems against intermissions. I'm also not a pro racer. I think they're fine, nice little... They're fun for the casuals. They're fun to drive around on and give you a real view of the world. But you know what? We've got different views of the world coming in because our second lobby is getting set up right now. And, that first lobby was quite tough, honestly. There was a lot of, strong talent who played in our other EX events. And, the second lobby, just as strong, honestly. There's so much talent here in Massachusetts today.
Yeah, definitely. Massachusetts, and as well as this area, the New England area, has produced so much sort of talent. But it is worth noting some of these people aren't even from New England. Ginger, for example, a New Yorker coming in here. So, I mean, it shows the local community is very talented here in the Northeast. And really, you could really pick out for any one of these players, and you could say that they are the star of the Northeast.
Yeah, and as I say, and considering many of our players are from Mass, I believe our other player is Squash coming out from New Hampshire. I guess I should have thrown my name in the hat, even though I would have been absolutely garbage just to represent Connecticut. But it's very clear that these players, Mass has got that talent. They understand. They've got the community here, and that's, again, part of what this is going to come down to in the long run is who do you have helping innovate and grind these maps out, because we're still month 1 of this game. We're still very, very fresh. We're still learning what is worth doing, what paths can be achieved, and what new things will be ahead. Time trials are getting set and broken here, but we'll see what new tricks and schemes these players in our second lobby have.
Yeah, definitely. And you mentioned the time trials. That's how most of these players are learning these sort of layouts with these time trials. And again, those records are updating on the fly almost every single day, constantly getting improvements. Players are finding new strategies. Like that track we were just at, Whistle Stop Summit, there's a strategy we didn't see where if you jumped off that rail that J-Dash missed and then jumped on the wall, jumped over to another wall, you would hit another rail to lead you onto another wall to then lead you to a rail which takes you a very tight corner around that final corner. Like, the amount of technical skill that these players are finding out is absolutely insane. They are speed running the most optimal way to race these tracks in the first month of this game's release. Imagine where we're going to be in a couple of years' time when people have finally figured out the absolute best way to play all of these tracks.
I'm scared for year 10 when this has been out and we're like at the end of the Switch 2's life and everybody's like, this is going to be your kind of defaults. Like you said, those kinds of difficult routes are just going to be the default. Like you can't play the normal map. The actual ladder system of the Mario Kart is just going to be, it's going to be crazy. There's going to be a lot to add for it. And the players are only going to improve, only going to get better as we learn and innovate. And then let's not even add in the fact that there are items. Like there's a whole slew of new items, a whole slew of new racers and karts that we're still trying to figure out. You noted we had found the one that's meta for now, but how long?
Yeah, I mean, there are other karts and bikes and whatnot that can be still considered good. The Baby Blooper has one of the strongest stats because it's the lightweight kart with the highest ground speed of any other kart. But it's not good on water and not good on terrain, so there is a chance that other karts might try to take over that sort of stat. It'll be interesting to see what these players decide to do, where the meta decides to go. Just because it's so early in the game's development, we decided, okay, we're going to go for this meta, but who knows? The meta could broaden out. We could see more compositions become a meta composition and see more players try to adapt into a different style as this game goes on for the years and years and years that we're hopefully going to see it.
Well, we also know that this community is relentless. They will always play. They will always grind. They will always innovate. So I don't think we have any worries about that. Looks like our lobby is only going to be 6 for this one. We're still getting our lobbies into place and setting it up. How many? 5?
It looks like 5 people in this lobby.
So a much smaller lobby, which means only 1 will be going out down the road. So still a competitive lobby. Again, you're going to have it.
See our players here. This is going to be Ember, Val, T-Man, Koyoya, and Aqua Twist here in this. And also William Cree. So we have 6 people coming into this. So William Cree will be in this lineup as well. So 6 people. So it's not going to be as many players, but you still will have those CPUs that will change up the entire gameplay.
And a couple of those players were very strong. Ember put in a phenomenal performance in the Winter Cup actually as well.
Yeah, fourth place in the Winter Cup.
Yeah. So again, some of the top talent. It's not. We're not able to predict and say, oh, they're definitely going to go on. But it is worth noting that there is still, amongst this smaller group, tougher talent, which makes achieving and getting towards those top places even harder because again, they were dominant in Mario Kart 8. They were good players then. Now let's add in and raise that technical skill ceiling. Let's see how they do.
Yeah, definitely. So it'll be interesting to see how these players are able to adapt. We've already seen some of those players from Mario Kart 8 Deluxe that we saw at the top. We saw them adapt pretty well, but the question is, can everybody adapt that well? Because again, it's all about that technical skills. We take a look here, the actual finalized player lineup. Ember, Val, T-Man, Koyoya, Aqua Twist, and William Cree will be the players here in our second qualifier round. Again, 4 move on to the finals. The other 2 will move on to the last chance qualifier to compete for a spot in the finals.
But also from that list, shout out Aquatwist there, one of our newer faces for EX and these events. Always love to see when people are willing to take a step into the Mario Kart competitive world. One day I might dip my toe in that water. Don't count on it. I will be at last place and bomb out. But like, we always love to see when those new players jump in and try their luck at this. It's always nice to see.
Yeah, definitely. Aquatwist obviously joined the community back in 2023, mostly because of the Mario Kart Open tournament that Nintendo held. He saw the potential of being able to play on stage and having a competitive community for Mario Kart, and it started playing competitively himself. And now here he is with the big dogs trying to compete up for a good chance at up for a good spot in the first Mario Kart World Tournament. As we see, one of our trophies they'll be handing out here. We do have some other trophies as well here for 2nd and 3rd place.
Quite literally, gold, silver,
and
smaller gold.
Small gold.
Smaller gold.
Someone get the bronze paint from the. I think there's an Advanced Auto Parts down there.
I say that, or there's probably some like Warhammer painting somewhere in here. But
yeah.
But yeah, no. So I mean, if this is like your opening prize, though, that's still not bad. Like, making a name for yourself by taking the Summer Cup here, that's something that brings down the road. So when you go to your leagues later, or you go down to the cons, wherever, people are going to recognize that. That's something you can put down an achievement. That's a big deal.
Yeah, and especially when it comes to like ranking systems. Obviously, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe had a ranking system with like the top 1,000 players, depending on how well they did in tournaments. Obviously, there's not one for Mario Kart World, but getting a win here could put you toward the top of that list, because now you competed in the first major LAN tournament of Mario Kart World, and you've shown the world that, hey, I can compete at Mario Kart World. People are going to take notice and be like, okay, maybe we put this guy a little bit higher on the rankings compared to everybody else. So,
or even if not solo rankings, let's remember that teams are still evolving. There are still 6v6s coming out. There is a team mode. We're not even exploring that, but there's a team mode here, as we do have our first round coming up.
Yeah, first race here of this Grand Prix, and it looks like we're going to be starting on the Great Question Block Ruins. I talked about technical skill. This is one of the best examples of technical skill in the game, just because of how much it has gotten and how it's evolved since the game release.
Yeah, again, a lot of chances for like railgun, shortcuts, jumps. A lot of those raw, newer mechanics are still here, but the other part to it all is going to be just how do people, how do you manage it? Because this is, again, another aerial place. So one wrong move could drop you all the way back.
Yeah, you can definitely fall off the Great Question Block Ruins. There's no question about that, as we see T-Man rocking the cow on the radio here for this run, representing my shirt as well with the moo. But regardless of which, again, you're going to see these very tight corners here on the Great Question Block Ruins, and you'll think, wow, those are very tight that you can't make any drifting. Wait until someone gets a mushroom on that corner.
Yeah, so you will be able to drift your way through that, or if not, you can always look to just ride the wall and get yourself a bounce off of that, save it that way. But speaking of bouncing, Ember with the Bitty Buddy, just trying to bounce their way up to the top, holding those mushrooms, looking for the right chance to throw them out.
Meanwhile, William Cree currently leading the charge here. Once again, another Nabbit in the baby blooper here leading the charge, with the rest of the field basically a dot in their mirror right now as they start the second lap on Great Question Block Ruins. But so far, William Cree obviously knowing the technical skill of his track pretty well to start off.
Well, it does lend itself, like you said, for drifting to be one of the most important. But that's a Mario Kart fundamental that you have to be able to know. Now with a little protection in their hand. What a good grind. What a great recognition for that inner port rack.
Yep, so that rail is much faster because it is so much tighter, and you don't have to worry about falling off like Val unfortunately does here. But still, that can be a strategy to get you to the front. Aquatwist unfortunately also meeting the same fate as Val here, but thankfully throw enough. And here's one of those other shortcuts. You take the rain, go right over the jump, barely miss every single of those cloud jumps. So those clouds can bounce you up, and that's the main way you're supposed to take it, but they're slower. So why would you bother with that when you could just instead go on the wall, take a jump on the, then jump off the edge, jump on the rain, because you can actually jump off of poles, then ride the wall and find yourself back onto the track for a much faster strategy. And I can tell you're in disbelief.
That was just look. You could the incredible breakdown. That was dope. That was just cool to watch. Like I don't have any words for that. That was just cool to see, because that was some of the most innovative stuff coming off of. Like, you can see those huge walls that it wants you to and invites you to that. But that is something that you just like you have to like grind this course to recognize. You work with others. A great rail grind from Ember though, could catch and cut off a lot of those short corners. Ooh.
Yeah, William Cree unfortunately is all in the front. There's no catching Will right now. They're going to be dominating here on the Great Question Block Ruins. But I talked about that shortcut. That shortcut has been present since I believe week 1 or if not day 1 of the game. Someone found out and it's just been improved upon ever since. So again, we talk about that technical skill and that's what got William the win. No items in factor, technical skill just only to find their way to the front. Just
knowing what you can bounce off of, how do you get it, what can you land off of, what needs to be done. And again, high risk, high reward. That's what gave William the chance to just kind of bolt ahead and not have to worry about anybody catching themselves up to it. And, you know, again, if you're willing to take that risk and it pays off, you're just rewarded by being able to sit back, cruise. You can then kind of slack off a little bit later. You don't have to get every single little jump. You don't have to play for every single minute technical detail because you just hit and scored on one of the, quite frankly, one of the dopest looking shortcuts I think we've seen in Mario Kart World.
That says a lot about how good these shortcuts can be if you're able to hit some of those shortcuts. That is probably the most like
cool.
That's probably one of the two like most flashy shortcuts in the game. It'll be interesting to see if we see the second one that I think of. But still, like, it's amazing, like, that sort of shortcut. Again, that has been a shortcut since the beginning of the game's release. Someone found that. They're like, I can do this. And then it's it started innovating as the game went on. And now you have probably one of the most famous shortcuts in the game, just showing the absolute technical skill of all these players.
And you know what's terrifying about that to me, Bowsy, as like an observer? That's going to be standard. That's going to be like a must take down the road. Like 4 or 5 years, like in the big Nintendo events, you're going to see every single person being like, I have to make this, and we've got everybody's favorite. It's that rainbow. It's that rainbow road.
It's the rainbow road. It's the road that you go when you die. But regardless of which, Rainbow Road. First off, beautiful looking course.
Oh yeah.
I wish I could have appreciated more when I was actually playing it for the first time. But second off, this is also the longest course in the track.
Oh, it's very long.
Because get ready for that mini map. Yeah, that's one lap.
Yeah.
What you see there is just one circuit around the entirety of Rainbow Road. This is the longest track in the game. I believe the world record is currently at 3 minutes and 50 seconds. For this track. Wow. So it is a long track by a mile. I believe it might be the longest track in Mario Kart history.
I mean, I have to imagine so, especially like you said with how much, just how much it is. And you can see it where it kind of gets really windy. Those are your best spots to really kind of innovate, to try to cut those edges, maybe kind of jump those gaps, jump different layers, try to figure out where can you save seconds, because like you had kind of alluded to, you know, this is a very straightforward. You're just kind of on your racing basics, considering there's not as much to jump and grind on.
Yeah, definitely. We take a look here at Ember, currently sitting in the 7th position here. Keep in mind, we're not even done with the first lap yet. You see that gate in the distance? That is the beginning of lap number 2. That just shows how long this Rainbow Road is. But still, Ember trying to bring their way up. Currently does not have a lot of items to make it work, but could make use of some of the shortcuts here as they take this left path. Will get hit by that boomerang, but still has the opportunity to make one of the cuts here that's well known on Rainbow Road. We see Kaioya get a little bit of a jump there. Going to be able to take that jump. That's the shortcut I was alluding to. Well, Lightning Bolt might have messed up everyone else, though.
Yeah, I mean, again, this is one of those races where you have to take every single one you can get, because if your racing isn't enough to carry you through, you're going to have to rely on every single little technical shortcut, every little jump, every drift to really make a difference. William Cree here now in 7th. Still no one leading out on the pack. Val up at 3. Still very anyone's game now.
Yeah, everyone is still pretty close together. Again, that's just because of the nature of this track. It's not really one you can really break away from because it's such a linear path. Basically, think of it as a long-term intermission. Val's going to be taking this jump, going to be turning into Spike meanwhile, while some Spike balls are positioned right across the track. Got to be careful of those as Kamek spawns them in. But now Val with the lead here, a pretty good, sizable lead right now, and some good protection to keep themselves alive.
Yeah, just really choosing to kind of drift off that bottom track here, see if they make the jump. They opted not to try to take some of those cut corners there. I think it's smart. Just maintain your lead. You have protection. It's just kind of play the defensive game now. I think that's the smart decision for Val.
Well, here comes the blue shell. It's not going to be hitting Val, though. It's going to be hitting the Pauline instead right before the glider, as Val is going to be trying to take that lead right back in their favor here. But it's actually William Cree coming out of nowhere to take the lead, side by side with Val as they head into section number 3.
And it's 3 of 4 laps, so still anybody's game as we move to the more grounded section again. We'll see if anybody tries to opt into some of those more shortcuts, maybe cut those corners, but another Kamek is going to put a little bit of a wrench in that plan.
Yeah, unfortunately, everyone's going to be running into Mario Kart 8 Deluxe's meta with Biddy Buddies all on the field. Going to be turning back to the normal characters here in a second here. But so far, it looks like we're seeming to have a breakaway with our top 3. It looks like it's going to be William, Val, and that Pauline who are making their way up. Actually, no, it's Kayoya, who is that Pauline who's trying to make their way up to the field here. William, meanwhile, in first place right now. Pretty good protection as they make their way over to that final glider section to begin the 4th and final section of Rainbow Road.
Yeah, this big glide is one of those spaces where, you kind of just have to eat it. Hopefully no one's been holding onto any items. Hopefully you're coming into this for protection because it will. There goes those bananas, so a little less protected for Will going into this big jump up.
Someone called on Donkey Kong. They needed those bananas back for Donkey Kong Bonanza, but William Cree still with the lead right now heading into these final couple of sections. And this is where that sort of straightforwardness can become apparent because as you can see, there's barely any shortcuts here on this section. The next one, I believe, only has 2 small shortcuts, so it's going to be a matter of if you can try to make your way up to the front and take advantage of it.
This is where having that lead will really benefit you. If you can get a little bit of breakaway like William did, that might be enough. These little boost ramps are good, but you have to make sure you get full value out of it, including cutting those corners like that.
Ember taking the corners tight, still using those speed boosts, though, to keep them up to speed with Kayoya right in front of them. Still in 3rd place. William, however, has pretty much run away. The green shell almost hits Kayoya. Good awareness from Kayoya to drift away. Is still going to get hit by Ember's red shell here, but now the lightning bolt as well. There's only 1 item set left on this track, and it looks like someone did dodge behind Ember.
Yeah, it looks like someone did manage to, but Ember's still got a ways to go. William is in sight now, and this is the last items. We're probably not going to get anything too aggressive. There's a red shell. The question now is, does William have anything, and when can you get value out of it?
Ember going to be looking for this sort of aggressive play. They use the mushroom. Looks like they're going to be holding onto their red shell just for protection. This is a smart move. You don't want to really risk your position right now. Blue shell is going to come, but it's not going to catch Ember in time. They will secure a 2nd place. William Cree takes the win here on Rainbow Road at the end of the day.
Now, I'm not here to point out oddly unspecific things, but it's worth noting that Jinja, also with the Rabbit, did perform very, very well. So maybe there's something to the light and light combination. Maybe we're still innovating. That does tend to be the case because it does give you the highest speed overall, but, who knows? This is still, Pauline, I think, it falls into the middle weights. So, it's kind of still a bit of up in the air. It's still down to that preference to what works best for you as the racer.
Yeah, definitely. And again, the combinations can make a difference here, but we've definitely seen, again, that Baby Blooper as well as a light character, which Nabbit is right now, have been able to make the most impact. Toadette has also seen a lot of rise. We're also seeing Ember use the Parabiddy Bud, which the Parabiddy Bud has also been shown to be a pretty strong contender, even though they are 1 weight class below Nabbit. So it's interesting to note. It's interesting to note the sort of the evolving of these sort of characters and these combinations as the game goes on. Eventually, everyone's going to be using the same thing, and we're going to be back to Waluigi, Wiggler, Pain. But for now, though, we have some variants, which makes this game feel a little bit better.
Hey, look! When we ended in the winter, it was Yoshi's and
Teddy Buddies.
Teddy Buddies. So, look, if we're not following a pack of Yoshis, I'm fine.
Well, thankfully, we're not following a pack of Yoshis. In fact, we're going to be running away from a pack of Bullet Bills on Airship Fortress for our 3rd race of this Grand Prix. And this is a track that also has benefited from the new mechanics of Mario Kart World, especially those rails. You see the walls?
Yes.
Rails.
Yeah, they're all. I'll say everything that's I can't think of the quote off the top of my head, but if it's a wall, it's also a rail. You can get up to the top and ride onto it, and even really quickly, you'll see. Yeah, look at those racers on the side. Just you. Not only do you get the little boost from it, but you also just straight up avoid those bullet bills. You don't have to deal with them.
Yeah, Ember already leading a pack of 3. Jeez. Ember, Kayoya, and Will going right on that rail. Ember leading a parade down the rails here on Airship Fortress. T-Man, however, trying to make their way back up, but right now it is Ember up at the front of the pack. And this is probably where a lot of your races can be messed up, is this tower on Airship Fortress. Because just basically, for the most part, you're just going to be drifting through this. And if someone has an item, drift ruin. If there's a Kamek, drift ruin. This tower can make or break your race. Yeah,
again, it's one of those just, how are you playing spatially aware? Like, are you holding on your items for that appropriate time? And then also, are you getting your drifts right? Because if you don't get your boost off those drifts, oh, wow. Someone just... Okay, William. I thought William fell off there for a minute. I was like, excuse me, what happened?
Yeah, sometimes the rails cannot catch the guys on your screen, but will catch it on their screen. Yes. So William still fine. A little bit of lag, but thankfully no lag drags like we used to have in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. I yearn for the days when we didn't have that at all. Ember's still trying to catch up. William, however, is going to be met with a face full of blue shell here in the tower. Fortunately, not able to get a super horn in time either, so he's going to be facing the brunt force of that. But again, a Kamek in this as well, and that's a bad character to get as well. You transform into a heavyweight on the tower, you're getting no acceleration from that.
Yeah, you're basically just now drifting into nothingness, but at least you'll be able to get out of the way. Final lap here, and we are starting to see our top pair separate from the rest of the pack. So Ember now with a red shell and a mushroom. At least you're protected for now. Probably not going to catch right on up.
Final lap on Airship Fortress. Val trying to fight up here for the top 5, but is fortunately getting hit by that rocky wrench. Ember looks like they're still just playing safe, not willing to go for any risky plays, and that, again, is the safe move. You know William is all the way up there. Do you take the risk? As I say that, uses the mushroom on the glider, going to be throwing out the red shell over to William, who doesn't, gets just a feather, unable to use it in time to keep themselves safe. The question is, does Ember have anything else? Banana and Mushroom has to use this shortcut to be able to take the lead. Goes straight for the cut. William right there, and William is the feather. Too far up with the feather. It opens the door wide open for Ember to take the lead away and take the win on Airship Fortress.
It's such a tough spot to be in for William there because you were holding the feather for that red shell. You knew it was coming, maybe a little quicker, but the question mark was, do I commit the feather here into this small enclosed area and ruin my flow, ruin my drift like you had said? Opted not to, maybe hoping that the feather could get used down the road, and Fortress kind of came back 42 for William and 36 for Ember in our second place, and they have secured it, Bowsy. They are not going out. They are going to keep winning. They have secured their way into the top. So now we're looking at third and fourth to see who can really kind of sneak their way in. There are 6 players in this lobby. 5? 6. 6 players in this lobby. So only 2 are going to fall out.
Yeah, right now as it stands, the gap between 4th and 5th in terms of player standings is 4 points. Aquatwist is currently in 4th with 23. Val in 5th with 19. Or 18, I think. 18. 19, I think. 19. 4 points.
Sure.
Yeah, 4 points. Math, ladies and gentlemen. But the point is that gap is still pretty close, especially with how weird this point system is.
Yeah.
If Val gets the first place and Aquatwist gets the third, then there's still the chance that Val can catch up to Aquatwist with the right possibilities. As we head over to our next track, it's going to be Mario Bros. Circuit here for our next track, which is the standard 3-lap configuration, which means we'll be racing this track in the correct direction.
I mean, sometimes it's fun to play the correct direction, sometimes it's not. But for whatever it's worth, I mean, this is also a pretty standard track, like you said. We're going to be looking at a lot more just fundamentals of good racing. You have some spots where you're going to be able to kind of catch walls, maybe boost across some of these shortcuts. But generally speaking, this is going to come down to our racing again. This is fundamentals track.
And especially fundamentals. This is the first track you race on in the game, so you see a lot of those fundamentals. You especially get the introduction to these rail grinds. Ember not willing to risk it, decides to go for the safe route and go off of the rails here just to keep themselves alive. Val, meanwhile, making their way up to the front. I talked about, again, Val and Aquatwist currently in that tight battle. Val trying to show their worth here and trying to make their way up to the front.
Still very close, though. The feather jumped there for... Catches it over, and the shortcut down. Oh, that's a big hit. That caught several.
Yeah, the T-Man getting hit by that bomb, throws one forward, but unfortunately it doesn't land here. Val going to be taking the glider, trying to follow right now in Ember's footsteps, who's currently leading this race after 1 lap here. Kayoya on their bumper. Meanwhile, you have William Cree taking the pipe here. That is a mushroom shortcut. You can go right into the off-road, hit a patch of tires, and go on that rail, which is a tighter line than that first corner.
Yeah, we never said there weren't shortcuts here or there weren't spots around. We just said they aren't as prominent. This is, again, one of those fundamentals where it expects you to learn and maybe take some of those rails that aren't going to be as risky and dangerous. But William understands them already, understands the pathing, and holding onto this Ghost is now in a great position to close out yet another first place.
Yeah, Ghost. William Cree trying to continue that first place streak. Had to lose the first place streak after the last race. Will dodge that red shell with the Ghost. Gets a mushroom in their pocket, and guess what's coming right in their rear view mirror? Do they go for the they go for the mushroom boost to go for the rail, but the blue shell is going to hit them at the end. But you know what? They might be safe. Look at how far away they are from the rest of the pack. The only difference is that everyone else is going to get an item while they have none until the second set.
Yeah, and this is, again, that spacing. Once do you take those dangerous, maybe costly moments and shortcuts to try to get yourself a lead? That's what you're doing in first place, is giving yourself that advantage for a blue shell, for a lightning to come down and kind of mess that up. And there's the lightning there, just as I said it.
Lightning strike right on the final corners. The final item set will be secured by everyone here as Ember's trying to secure a top 3. It's familiar territory here for the top 3 right now. William Cree going to be winning this race. Kayoya in second. Now Ember with triple red shells trying to get rid of Kayoya, but a triple banana is there to keep them safe as Ember going to be trying to secure third, but is actually going to hit the rail, gets boosted off in the wrong direction, barely able to secure a 4th 4th place at the end of the day. The bomb might have hit the Toadette right in front of them, but Ember still 4th place. William Cree in 1st, and Koyoya in 2nd.
Does give a little bit of credence to Ember to kind of make sure they can secure that 2nd. Koyoya now at 3rd at 41, sorry. And now, I mean, the rest of our players, the rest of our PCs, kind of a little bit further down as you saw some of those computers sneaking up into those higher number positions.
Yeah, thankfully we won't be having a CPU advance. It's just going to be players. But again, that gap now, 3 points between not just Aqua Twist and Val, but Aqua Twist and T-Man. T-Man and Val are currently tied at 27, Aqua Twist at 30. So if you're Aqua Twist right now, you're focusing on consistency. If you're Val and T-Man, you're focusing on trying to be better than Aqua Twist. So there is a little bit more risk if you are Val and T-Man, but you still have 2 races, or I believe 2 races. Yeah, 2 races to get that job done.
Yeah, and again, like you said, it's, you know, the first couple games you can try to maybe play a little bit more. Okay.
Is it a bad time to mention this is my least favorite track in the game?
Well, why? Give us the sauce here.
So
why?
The main reason I hate this track is, number one, it feels like it's missing a lot. Like, it doesn't feel like it has a lot of technical skill. You'll see why here. Those rails at the beginning, actually harmful to take those because you'll jump up too high and you'll lose speed. Number two, this track just doesn't feel finished. I'm sorry. It just doesn't look finished. It feels like it's missing a lot here. Feels like it's way too open. And number three, the name doesn't match the track. Especially this first turn shows just how unfinished it is. It's actually faster to not drift around this corner. Ember's going to be going for the drifts to get the boost here, but a lot of players tend not to drift around that first corner.
Yeah, and well, but that's what makes it interesting, right? Is a lot of those fundamentals sometimes don't necessarily apply to moments like this. So it's knowing when you need to be doing those important fundamentals and when do you need to kind of play differently.
Now, unfortunately, getting hit, and that's Aqua just right in front of him. Aqua just trying to keep themselves alive here with double red shells right now. Val's going to be taking the risk, trying to go for these mushroom moves as they make their way up to this high incline, which definitely would have been an anti-gravity section if we're playing Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Another red shell hitting them. I believe that was Aqua Twist's second red shell that hit them. But now it's going to be a matter of this final corner. William Cree still in the lead right now and has the Super Horn as well in their pocket, so they are safe from anything in their way.
And again, just going to drift around the corner, take the jumps where they can get them. William Cree playing, has secured first place. No worries for them, so they're just kind of just cruising through. Maybe just take it easy. Nothing to worry about here. You're slowly separating, so you might as well just enjoy the protection you have.
Yeah, getting that front run speed here if you are William Cree. And noteworthy that while they don't have 20 coins right now, that's not necessarily a bad thing because you can still make your way up even without getting all 20 coins here. Some people will still opt to try and get that maximum speed, but sometimes it's not really necessary. What is necessary, though, is to be careful about the blue shell because right now William Cree is about to get a whole face of it.
It will slow him down enough, and T-Man is still a little bit of a ways away. So
what a pull from T-Man, though. Up in third place, a triple red shell. Going to be losing a lot of it here to this computer. Birdo, but now is running for the lead. T-Man, I mentioned, 3 points away from securing a top 4 in the current standings. All in the lead on the final lap of Dandelion Depths.
They still need to hold this, though, if they want to secure themselves into this. And like you had said, the pack is still fairly close together. You can see the top 3 are hanging together. So one rough item could mean that T-Man falls right back down. No, not safe yet.
Ember and Koyoya right on T-Man's bumper, trying to find their way toward the front. Right behind them, I believe, is Aqua Twist in fourth, trying to make their way up, trying to get that consistent positioning as they head down toward the water section. It all could come down to this final couple of corners, this final incline, these final jumps here in the depths. T-Man doing everything they can, just dodging every single way. This cow is trying to run home back to the farm to find themselves a win. Super Horn in hand toward the final corner here on Dandelion Depths. It all determines on what items are right behind them. A mushroom can make or break this race.
There is a little bit of a chance that you could kind of cut those corners, but I don't think it's going to happen. Going to send it out. That's enough. T-Man with that first place. That is a big first place for them.
T-Man, I mentioned, 3 points away from being able to secure a spot right now, and that win is going to propel them so far. Because, again, I mentioned the sort of point differential. The gap between first and fourth in terms of points is 6.
That's huge.
And Aqua Twist actually got 6 in terms of points. So right now, as it stands, T-Man is the man in the advantage. Aqua Twist 4 points out. Right now, looking at last chance qualifier territory.
I mean, look, I love to see it because I love me some good close competition. And like you said, when it comes down to carrying 4, considering this is a smaller pool than our previous one, every single point matters. And that was a very, very needed win for T-Man. So a huge, huge turn of events for them. big needed.
Yeah, definitely a big showing here from T-Man. Again, a person who's also made the finals in other tournaments, so definitely showing their stuff here in the New England Summer Cup. As we're about to see what our final race here of this Grand Prix is. William Cree unfortunately missed the shortcut and is going swimming for a little bit. Thankfully he didn't go for a full submerge, just went in for a little bit.
No, we're seeing, all right. Well, we missed the road again. So.
Oh, well, we're going over to what many people can attest to as probably their least favorite track in this game. Have you ever heard of a thing called Baby Park?
Yeah, as I say, this is funny. We were talking about this. I said, okay, Bowsy, what's the new Baby Park? And this is the one you threw out, which, yeah, I get it. I see it. It is just kind of a big circle. It's a lot of laps. But at least it's not as chaotic as Baby Park. There's a lot less chance for you to just kind of get hit by someone's random green shell here.
Yeah, the good thing is instead of in comparison to Baby Park's 2 straightaways, you have 4 straightaways here on Koopa Troopa Beach, the final race here of this Grand Prix, if I'm not mistaken. William Cree currently trying to lead. The computer Birdo is right next to them. But this track is so small and so chaotic that you can really just do what Ember's doing right now. Just play safe, wait to the back, and make your way up.
Yeah, and considering Ember is a very good player, knows what they're doing, you can tell they're just going to try to maybe play for the items and then hold on to that. T-Man now in second, fighting behind Aquatus. Aquatus really does actually need this first if there is any chance of them to go on and not have to play in the last chance qualifier. T-Man
trying to throw their green shells out to hit that Koopa or Aqua Twist right now, who are both trying to fight their way forward. Gets hit by their own green shell at the end of the day. Even though there's no wall circulating the track, you still can get hit by your own green shells here on Koopa Troopa Beach. Val trying to make a desperation move, going to stop William Cree from catching up to the front. Ember, meanwhile, making their way up with those triple mushrooms as we hit lap number 4 of 5 here on Koopa Troopa Beach.
We're past the halfway point, and you can see that that's spread out a little bit, but that doesn't necessarily make it better for any of these players. It means you're more likely to get hit by one of these random rogue bananas or whatever you might be aiming at. You're probably going to get hit by something that you weren't even looking out for.
Final lap about to approach here on Koopa Troopa Beach. Ember right on Aqua Twist's tail. Aqua Twist needs a good finish. Ember already basically secured. Mushroom stolen here from Ember as Aqua Twist still leads. Heading down the final couple of straightaways on the backstretch. Ember looks like they're playing for position right now. Aqua Twist again needs this finish. They need a good finish to lock themselves in. The Ice Flower comes out. Ember gets hit, but Aqua Twist does not. The mushroom shortcut to take the lead. Aqua Twist celebrates in fashion as they secure that first place. Ember gets second place at the end of the day. T-Man, I believe, however, got third. It was very close to that top spot. No, T-Man fell all the way back down to 6th. And that's massive because now Aqua Twist, 53 points to their name. Aqua Twist, if that was the last race of the Grand Prix, Aqua Twist is in the Grand Finals.
That's a huge up for them. They needed that first place. Yeah, we'll bring this to an end. So William, Ember,
Koyoya and Aqua Twist.
Wow. You know, we'd kind of talked about how a couple of the players really did kind of run away with it, but the 3rd and 4th positionals just clawing in those. I don't even feel safe if you've earned those, like going into the full finals. They will go on into the finals and they'll get a little bit of a break, but I don't feel comfortable. I'm a sigh of relief because we just barely squeaked in.
And how could you feel comfortable right now in this sort of professional lobby, having that sort of tight contest? It shows just the amount of skill that some of these players are showing off here as in the first Mario Kart World LAN tournament here in the Northeast. So a really good showing from those players, and at the end of the day, we now have 8 of our final 12 here set in stone. It's just the last chance qualifier now that will determine our final 4.
Yep, we'll get those numbers tallied, and we'll be deciding for certain who is going to be falling into the last chance qualifier.
Yeah.
But considering we have some of those numbers from our first round, you know, the talent from our first pool that didn't quite make it in, it'll be very interesting to see how they mesh in with our other players, because there are definitely there's still talent that just couldn't clear that 8.
Yeah, definitely. As we're about to get a look here at our standings for the second qualifier round. Once our producer Dave gets them all sorted, everyone send some love to Dave in the chat.
Yeah, shout out to Dave.
Doing a great job producing, doing all the graphical work to my right here. So he has been an absolute powerhouse here, helping set up this event as well here at OneUp Games. Also, special shout out to OneUp Games for hosting the venue here for the New England Summer Cup. So it's overall been a very good showing so far. And it's still much more to come as we're getting ready for that LCQ.
There's 2 more people we should be shouting out, Bowsy. We haven't shouted them out yet, actually.
Yeah, especially. We should definitely shout out Zasco Productions. Who's helped out with a lot of with some of the equipment that we have here, mostly the cables to help sort out all of the sort of recording here. And as well, our graphics from New Blue, which you'll be seeing here for the standings for lobby number 2 once they come on board here. There they
are.
are. The graphics from New Blue to show off
75.
our graphics here. 75 points for William Cray.
Wow. I believe from our first round,
the top score from our first round was a 67.
So William quite literally dominated that. So William's got to be feeling very, very good going into that. Ember, pretty high as well, also clearing and tying from our first round. But like we had said, 4th, 5th, and even 6th. 41 is very close, but man, just points, single-digit points, half races, slightly better separating 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Incredible.
Yeah. It's insane, just the amount of technical skill that you can show to be able to build up that sort of point total, and generally in a game like Mario Kart. But that shows just how Mario Kart can be, especially a game like Mario Kart World. Much more emphasis on technical skill, some emphasis on items, but still not as much as it used to be.
Yeah, it's interesting because you might still say that the randomness kind of maybe is easier countered here, where you are playing a little bit more to that. But the randomness that we don't have is our last chance lobby. We've got quite a. I mean, this is still a pretty tough lobby to be in. I don't envy any of these players, considering you're looking at Squash, Bowser Boy, Knight, and Kane, who Squash and Knight alone put in incredible performances in their first round, and then T-Man just missing out. This is a tough lobby that you can tell there's a lot of egos ready to go into this last chance qualifier.
Yeah, this is definitely going to be a very tough qualifier. The benefit is four people make it out of this round onto the grand finals here. So it'll be interesting to see what players are going to be able to do exactly that, because so far it's been a pretty tight showing here in this matchup, and all these players just showing what they're made of so far. And we've seen some of them be pretty strong. And Embarrassment
Finally
also coming in here. Unfortunately was a little bit late, but you know what? We'll still get a chance in the last chance qualifier. So, you know, coming in with a point total of 0. We still haven't seen Embarrassment yet, so who knows? They might be able to show what they're made of.
Yeah, I would say the points do essentially kind of reset in a way at this point. So if you're coming in, this is probably the safest bet. And, you know, look, they've had the time to sit and kind of relax. Maybe they've been watching the stream from home to see what the skill level's like. Who knows? But for what it's worth, that's a new wild card for this game that already has so many question marks attached to it.
I mean, there's so many question marks so far in this sort of tournament. So we'll have to see who's going to be making an advantage here in this run. Who's going to be able to show who's the best of. Well, we would say the worst because it's the last chance qualifier, but still, you get what I mean. Like the best of the people who were eliminated and not in the finals just yet. Getting our final total here. So that is currently our finals lineup: J-Dash, Bento, Awoken, and Jinja from qualifier number 1. Then William Cree, Ember, Kayoya, and Aqua Twist from qualifier number 2. 4 more spots to go, all 4 of which will be decided in this last chance qualifier round.
And that's a scary end lobby considering the names that were in there. Most of them have played elsewhere. We've seen them in the Winter Cup. We've seen them in the our initial event here for PlayEX. That is a dangerous lobby to be in, and you know what? Even just having a chance to play amongst that skill level, that's something in itself. Like, you will learn so much just from racing against those guys that it's almost worth the experience alone.
Yeah, definitely. It shows that sort of skill passing down. You learn from the other players. You see the players taking that shortcut, you're like, huh, maybe I should try that. And so you start building yourself up by learning those sort of shortcuts. That's most of the way I've known. That's the way I've known most of the shortcuts in this game, is that I've been watching YouTube videos of professional players who have already learned the shortcuts better than I can ever do them. So it shows that sort of skill passing down as the tournament goes on. And we'll have to see if these players have learned from those first rounds and if they're going to be able to adapt them to their next round, to their next chance.
I think the one thing we've learned, at least from the desk side anyway, is that we're seeing when players are willing to take those gambles on those big kind of jumps, when we are willing to go for those shortcuts, or when we can use those new mechanics to our advantages. Because we see some courses where it's almost mandatory already that we see it, but then we saw courses where it's like, simply like, if you just grind rails correctly, that's enough to get you a boost, to keep you ahead, to get you an advantage. T-Man in particular did a great job of cutting those corners and riding those rails to help lead to their success. Yeah,
definitely. Again, we saw the Dandelion Depth win from T-Man. That was just a simple case of right place, right time, made the moves work, was able to make that final shortcut and find their way up to the lead. But then there's other tracks like Great Question Block Ruins, where you basically have to know the ideal strategy and find your way up to the front that sort of way. So it'll be interesting to see the difference here between both of these sort of methods of play, because it could be a make or break situation for some of these players if they don't do it correctly.
just getting the last of our players in for our last chance lobby. And like you said, this is a make or break lobby for them. It will be 6 more races, one last chance to kind of get in, and with new players coming in as well as embarrassment. So it's going to be quite a question mark to see what he's learned, because now they've been able to sit back and actually watch yet another. We've been able to sit back and watch and see what tracks people prefer. We've still not seen an intermission, much to your joy.
No, I mean, yeah, I'm very glad we haven't seen an intermission, but it'll be interesting to see if we do get one at all.
Yes.
Because again, remember, the grand finals will be having a knockout rally portion to determine a sort of score multiplier.
Yes.
So there is the possibility that you want to try to prepare for maybe that knockout rally, knowing that you're going to have to play on these intermissions 5 times in a row for one lap on a single circuit. So we'll have to see what these players are willing to do in terms of their track selection. Who knows? They might want to try to go for an intermission if they're crazy. But the point is that they might want to try to practice that and get ready for the possibility for the knockout rally later.
So you didn't get to hear it, but Knight actually posed the question, can I play the intermissions? And the answer we call kind of jokingly alluded to, yes, but we'll hate you, is kind of something, though. There's a mental aspect to playing those intermissions, though, right? If nobody's practicing them, if they're all just straight lines and it's all just driving checks, if you know you can drive, if you know you have your fundamentals, maybe that's an angle you need to take. Say what you will, you might call it, I'm going to call it now, we don't need to play fair Mario Kart. Sometimes you need to play dirty just to get yourself some points to win.
Yeah, I mean, there is the potential that you could pick the intermission. Could you feel more comfortable on the intermissions? And like I said, the intermissions, compared to the normal tracks, it's an entirely different skill set.
Yeah.
It's basically like you're playing an entirely different game. With the normal tracks, you have the technical skill. You have the shortcuts you can make with the wall rides, the charge jumps, all that sort of such. But when it comes to the intermissions, it's harder, if not slower, to make those sort of cuts and make those sort of rail grinds and wall rides and whatnot. So you're mostly relying on item luck for most of the time. Not to mention, when you hit the destination track, you're only racing one lap on that track, which in itself means you're mostly relying, again, on item luck compared to skill. Because if you know all the shortcuts and you just want to make your way up to the front with the items, then you could do that. That's totally on the cards. So we'll see what the move is going to be here. Some of these players are willing to test their luck on item luck rather than relying on that technical skill.
And we're also now going to see who is maybe changing their schemes along the way. We've seen a lot of middleweights, a lot of lightweights, and we've seen some of these shift, but maybe we'll see as we get some of these courses, we start to see what people want to play. Because we've seen, how many times have we seen Rainbow Road pop up? Somebody's picked it that's been there, or somebody's been able to look for a particular course track. You might have to make some adjustments of your preferred characters and sets based on that.
So as we did hear a moan in the crowd, that's just because someone unfortunately started the room before everyone was ready, or something might have gone wrong. The disbenefit about this game is that in order to reset the lobby, everyone has to leave the lobby.
In the business, we call that a womp womp.
Yes, we call that a womp womp.
And that's just the way it is. Say what you will about Nintendo, and then remember that they have an online system. That it sure is an online system, and they've sure made some decisions about how to manage those online systems.
I mean, listen, I like to say it with Nintendo, 1 step forward, 1 mile back.
You know what? Coming from Splatoon land, I 1,000% understand that. That is 100% heard.
I mean, a lot of the community can agree with me on this. The most recent update for Mario Kart World.
Yes, okay, yes.
Yep. So, yeah, that's all I need to say. I don't need to say any more. Anyone who understands in chat knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
If you don't understand in chat, just please look up Mario Kart World Intermission on YouTube, and you will know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah. For what it's worth, the intermissions are definitely one of the more contentious parts, I think, of this. They're cool to drive in. They're interesting, but they are definitely contentious for when it comes to racing integrity, for sure.
They overstay their welcome is the best way I could probably put it, because they're good like the first couple of times. The first time you're playing the game, like, oh cool, I get to drive from
A to B. It's a cool experience.
I get to drive from A to B. That's pretty cool. And the knockout rally, really good mode. Like, oh, you get to drive from A to B to C to D to E.
Yeah, perfect.
Like, knockout rally is great for that sort of mode. However, it feels like after a bit, it's like, this is boring. I'd rather be driving down I-90 at this point. So,
look, it's a lot less tolls, honestly, at least on those intermissions. It's a lot less tolls.
It is less money, depending on who you ask. One's an $80 flat charge. The other is tolls every, 5 miles. So, Who knows?
Fair
It might be better to do Mario Kart World compared to I-90. But the point stands. It's just like it is, for lack of a better term, and no pun intended, tolling on the mind having to play those intermissions.
I see what you did there, and that's very valid. For what it's worth, though, Bowsy, let's remember, we are still a month into this game. There are still innovations of our players to be made, so maybe there are some super sick intermission plays to be had. But while we're getting our players in for our last chance lobby, we're probably just going to see most of our beloved favorite levels. DK Pass was that pick for Squash, and you know what? DK Pass is a good course. I like that one.
Yeah, we see some tracks that we've already seen so far. Faraway Oasis, Airship Fortress on the board, but some tracks that we also have yet to see so far in this tournament. I believe we might be getting one of them. Nope, we're getting Airship Fortress for our first race here. Again, 6 races to determine the final 4 that are going up to the grand finals.
Look, we've seen, 12 tracks already in the day? And about 12, and we've seen plenty more. So, of course, we're going to start getting repeats, but for those who are new here, it's worth noting, you do get penalized if you do a track within the same grouping as well. Not that we've ever had that, but just so you are aware, there is technically a penalty for it. We're probably not going to see that.
Yeah, repick penalty is in favor here. Squash is going to be taking these rail shortcuts, jumps from one rail to the other, then jumps off the chain, goes for a tight, no, not going to go for the tight jump there, but you can do a tight jump there to gain a little bit more speed. Squash just decides to go for the safe route instead, which is the right call here as they currently lead the pack here on Airship Fortress early.
I mean, that grind session alone gave them such a huge pick. I have to imagine this was Squash's map of choice. And I mean, you can see how they're rewarded for it with that toad head on. Just beautifully done. They're just going to drift through this corner unquestioned.
Yeah, that hat that Squash is wearing right now is making me very hungry, not going to lie.
Real.
But still, the rest of the pack trying to catch up to them. Val, I believe, currently last of all the players right now. No, T-Man going to be taking that honor, going to be passing them here. Knight, meanwhile, up to 3rd here, deciding to go for a little bit more of a stinging action here with the Sting Bee, taking the lead right now early here in this race.
Well, again, it was a question of what are we playing? Do you want a lighter character now that you kind of understand what the field of the maps are going to be, you might adapt your character, and Knight is doing that beautifully with that choice.
Kane, meanwhile, in 5th, going to get burnt a little bit there by that fire torch here in the airship hull. And meanwhile, the rest of the pack seems to be very close together. Bowser Boy, currently the leader of the players, going to be hitting Knight with the super horn here. Knight, unfortunately, not set up for the drift either in the tower, but now it's Embarrassment again, a player that we have not even seen yet today, who's currently running in the 6th position, trying to make their way up to the front here on the final lap of Airship Fortress.
Yeah, I mean, they might be a little bit rusty coming into this, but still sitting in that near front position gives them a chance to kind of go, especially with this blue shell coming in. They'll get out of the way, and I mean, that might be a chance to catch into that top 4 now.
Embarrassment currently in 7th place, has a ghost in hand, ready to use it to steal somebody's item, but meanwhile, it's Squash up in the lead once more, single coin in hand, and that's one of the risks about taking some of these shortcuts is that you actually do miss the item boxes, so you're not able to get an item in the best situations. That rail shortcut that we saw Squash go on, no items because of that move, so again, it's a risk versus reward sort of factor, but right now, Squash, all the risk and all the reward in favor.
Yeah, it all paid off in the end. 18 coins, make that 20 now to cross the line. They were rewarded just for that technical skill, and sometimes you need to do that. Embarrassment clearing into somewhere. It looked like I think it was still 13th. They cleared 10. That's something. That might be worth a couple points at least.
Yeah, it might be worth maybe 1 extra point, which could. Online. And we're back here in the New England Summer Cup after a quick little delay because of a stream crash, but now we're in the 2nd race here on Moo Moo Meadows, so you didn't miss much, only a little bit of pandemonium at the start of a race. Currently looking on board here with Val, who's trying to take the top position here with 13th so far. Golden Mushroom in hand as they're going to try to make their way up to the final lap here on Moo Moo Meadows in a good position.
Good position indeed, but still a very tight pack, Bowsy, so it's not quite anybody picking out. We're still a chance anybody can come back. Knight in particular with this Bullet Bill has a chance to kind of disrupt the pack, but they need to get some value out of it, take someone down if they're going to get anywhere near the top. Final
lap begins here on Moo Moo Meadows as someone's already crossed the line and gotten hit by a blue shell. It is a pandemonium up at the front of the pack. Knight trying to make their way up. It's Embarrassment up at the front. Again, a player we have not seen at all yet today. Currently leading the pack. Going to get passed here by Val and Squash, however. Squash on the inside line with the Golden Mushroom, taking that long shortcut and taking the lead away as a result.
Missed the jump there, but maybe, that's still enough. That gold mushroom did its damage. Ice balls coming through now, and a last-second shot from Embarrassment. Struggled in that first round, but coming out on second place here, that's a big jump up.
Yeah, definitely. You need these good finishes, especially when you only have 4 more after this race to find your way into the top spots. Embarrassment getting that second place means they'll get a little bit extra point total, especially after that bad 10th place finish to start off this GP. But right now, if your name is Squash, then you're squashing the competition.
30 points in first place. Number 2 is sitting at 20. Again, Squash had that very difficult position of being in that first lobby, which was a very stacked lobby. We had our 3rd place from the previous Winter Cup there. Some incredible talent additionally. So, sometimes it's just the luck of the draw, and sometimes you just need that second chance to really kind of secure your spot in.
Yeah, so far it's been a pretty good showing here from some of these players here after the first 2 races. Now heading over to race number 3. And you're not at the halfway point yet, but after this race you will be. So it's going to be interesting to see how these players are going to adapt to that sort of track selection here. As we're starting to see some of the track selections here. Some of them are interesting because they do have interesting sort of connotations. Some of them are more skilled, don't have as many sort of technical skill as others. It looks like the track selection is going to be Mario Brothers Circuit, and it's going to just be Mario Bros. Circuit, normal 3-lap configuration.
Okay, look. Back to basics, back to fundamentals. We'll take that. That's not the worst thing it could be. And, we've seen this once out of, I believe, our second lobby of the day. But so, you know what? This is fine. But this is a good check, right, to see who's been doing their fundamentals learning, who's learned the shortcuts that are always hidden in these first basic tracks. So, again, just another great little check for all these players to make sure we are not only up to our racing snuff, but also up to our meta knowledge.
Yep, it's a homework check on this second roundabout here at Mario Bros. Circuit. Who's going to be passing the assignment here? Knight taking the rails, following a couple other players in their footsteps right now as they try to make their way up to the front right now. It's Embarrassment right in front of him in second place. Going to be running out. I believe that is a computer up in first. Oh, no, that's Squash.
That's Squash. Why
am I not surprised? It's Toad with a burger hat. It's Squash up there.
That's Squash. That's just Squash, baby. Squash up there, out and Squash in the competition, like you said. Knight going to go ahead and just try to take the rails, use that mushroom. Didn't quite get to the high ground, so had to make the best of it. Knight has had a tough day, I got to give it. Knight has been playing very well, but just unfortunately catching a lot of bad ends here.
Yeah, going to be getting hit there as they make their way up into the lead for just a split second. But right now, again, it's Squash and Embarrassment up at the lead. The Hammers wedging themselves into the road, unfortunately not catching anyone off guard right now. Might have hit that Yoshi, but ends up getting hit by the gold shell instead. That trail of points is going to help them out. And that lightning bolt might change up the competition a lot more.
It does give your players a little bit of a chance to kind of come back, but we are second lap, and everything is still fairly close together. Mr. T-Man now looking for a little bit of redemption. Managed to get Squash off there. Beautiful.
Now T-Man taking their way up. Embarrassment currently in the lead right now. Goombas on the field because there are Goombas on the racetrack right now. Someone get these spectators off of the track surface. Caution might have to come out later, but for now, the final lap begins here on Mario Bros. Circuit. Embarrassment and Mr. T-Man leading the top 2. Squash trying to make their way up, but looks like they're falling back as T-Man gets hit by a red and hits the spike right behind him with the bomb.
That's, again, still fairly close, so now it's going to come down to the rails, and I was just about to think our last blue shell should be coming out sometime soon, so Squash will avoid that. Enshine's going to take the front of that Embarrassment.
Trying to give themselves on. No, just falls off the track. The only good news is they had no items, so they don't lose anything as a result. But right now, Squash back spamming to hit Bowser Boy right behind them, trying to secure this lead for their own as they take this glider path once again and put a topper on top of his burger. 3 for 3 for Squash, looking in the bag right now. Bowser Boy just can't catch up to them in time. Squash goes 3 for 3 in the LCQ.
Squash has been dominant in this last chance qualifier section. I mean, and that really should tell you because they were playing in that first segment. They missed out. What does that tell you about the top 4 that made it? So Squash basically securing their way in at 45 here at the halfway point. 29 and 28 for second and third, though. So it's still fairly close. We are taking 4. So there's still space in that 2, 3, and 4 spot. There's still a chance.
You mentioned 29 and 28 for second and third. How about 27 for fourth and 26 for fifth?
Still anybody's.
It is tight. It is anybody's game. Anything can happen in the second half of this Grand Prix.
Yeah, that's still a lot. But for players like Squash, now it kind of becomes, look, let's just cruise our way through. As long as we keep securing top 3s, we should be okay. Nothing really to worry about. You know, they can just kind of sit back and just cruise their way into the finals. But still work to be done for a lot of these players who need to contest. Mr. T-Man in particular, barely missed out on being into that, making that cut. Still looking for more. That is 3 of the same pick there.
That is 3 DK Spaceport picks, and that's exactly where we're going to be going. DK Spaceport is the track selection, and it's going to just be a normal circuit on this. So DK Spaceport is not a traditional loop. It is actually the only track in the game that is not a traditional loop. It's surprising to think that, but of every single normal circuit in the game, this one is not a traditional loop. Instead, it's a straight line.
No, it's more Ray Towers from Splatoon, honestly, in this regard. And I guess say what you will about it. It on paper, it looks pretty boring, but you do have a lot of choices to kind of get up and around. You aren't necessarily going to be able to jump up and create a lot of shortcuts, but you will have a lot of variance in regards to those barrels that are coming down. You will have a lot of chance to get jumps. So getting those value out of those jumps, out of those rails, out of those small moments is so important on a track like this.
As we head down the main stretches of DK Spaceport and almost head to section number 2 of 6, which does make this the Mario Kart track with the most amount of laps in history at 6 laps. It's going to be Kane currently in 4th place, going to be using that ghost early to try and keep themselves alive, going to be stealing somebody's money. You probably should give that back unless it's lunch money. But nonetheless, Kane trying to make their way up here, going to be passing that Rosalina and going straight for Bowser Boy and Squash.
Yeah, these kind of quick hairpin turns are the one real spot where it's good to use a mushroom to kind of give yourself any sort of advantage. Again, you can try to get on these side barriers, but they're not necessarily going to give you a strict advantage. So every jump, making sure you can get this as speed as can matters.
And already over halfway done here with DK Spaceport as they head into section number 4. Kane missing the rails, though. That is crucial as the rails are basically your main way to get up to the front of this pack. And you already see right at the front, Bowser Boy currently leading the standings right now. Squash falling back right now to 2nd, trying to catch up to Bowser Boy, who's currently leading this pack. The Lightning Ball, however, is going to change the entire field dynamic.
Yeah, that changes a lot, and it does give players a chance to kind of still get full value. Trying to go for that wall grind, just unfortunately miss it. Yeah, that was going to be the one chance. This is that one section where you can really do it. Knight, just look, we're vibing here for Knight. I respect it.
Yeah, it goes for the conch door pick. One overpass, however, and he might be done for. But still, this is the final section. This final straightaway, Bowser Boy all the way up front, passes that mechanical DK with no problem and will take the win on DK Spaceport. Squash secures 2nd. Kane gets 3rd. But for Squash, now that win streak is over, threatened by Bowser Boy.
Yeah, but you're fine. Like, you're already, that's still going to put you into the 50s. You're still, 57. Oh, my lead is slightly less than perfect. Like, you'd love to make the I think you'd love to make the statement if you're Squash of, like, a full perfect 6. That'd be, like, ideal. But you don't really need to. Like, if you don't, knowing what's laying for you ahead in the finals, like, maybe you don't want to pull that attention to yourself in a lot of ways. Maybe it's just better to kind of cruise in, take those first places, maybe eat a couple second and thirds, and maybe not draw attention to yourself going into what is definitely the hardest lobby of the day.
And what the biggest thing is right now is that Bowser Boy winning that race means they get a much bigger buffer as we head into these final 2 races. Because that point differential from for the 4th place spot is getting tight. It's 1 point now between 4th, 5th, and 6th. Yeah. So it's going to be tight between all of these players trying to make their moves here as we head into these final couple of races here. Next track looks like it's going to be going to Cheap Falls for our 5th race of this 6-race Grand Prix.
Cheap Falls. Like, this is one of those ones, I think, one of the earliest places where we saw people trying to kind of iterate on, like, the wall jumps and various things like that. And it definitely has and lends itself to that kind of verticality of play. So, expect, again, this is not necessarily the most grounded technical, but expect to see a lot more value out of those newer mechanics here.
Start here on Cheap Falls. Again, the final of the two final races here of this GP. Kane currently in a mix of just playing bumper cars right now with everyone around them. It looks like Bowser Boy still, however, taking the lead to start off this race. Val making their way up to the top. Going to get redded immediately, unfortunately, as they started making some sort of pressure. It's going to be determined on how well Kane can catch up to Bowser Boy here. Meanwhile, the T-Man right behind them on the Cal radio.
Still slow but surely trying to get their way up to the top, has beef with everybody in that front because they want to go on. They just missed out. And unfortunately now into this water section is where you're going to see people try to maybe have to negate because you are kind of, stuck if you do, stuck if you don't. The water isn't exactly going to give you the best on this low ground.
It might give you a little bit more speed, but it's also very hard to control yourself in the water. Case in point, this drift from Bowser Boy there, just very difficult to make that drift work properly. Knight, unfortunately, falling back. That conch door is not working properly here. The ostrich, unfortunately, has not found anything to eat. But so far, it's Squash up in first, to no one's surprise. But Mr. T-Man currently holding down that second place on the second lap.
Again, T-Man doesn't want to miss out, barely missed out in that second round, but really doesn't want to. Squash in their way now, but Squash has been the strongest competitor in this pool so far. And as we cut back into this water pack, like you said, it's a little bit tough to manage, but hopefully you've been balancing and holding onto your items because this is also a very open area.
Yeah, Squash going to be able to use that mushroom to take that massive shortcut there in the corner of the jump, but it's not going to be able to get the double box. Instead, they'll have to settle with a single, which the same mechanics as Mario Kart 8 Deluxe do apply here. If you have a coin, you are guaranteed to get a single item. You're guaranteed your next box to get any sort of item that's not a coin.
Knight trying to get any sort of just bounce to speed as we'll see that zoom by. The blue shell is going to come. It'll slow down Squash in the front. Maybe it's just nope, not saying that lightning hit means that's basically just negated the blue shell.
Yeah, that lightning hit is going to negate it a little bit. Embarrassment, meanwhile, catching their way up here to Squash, trying to make an impact. T-Man right behind them with that cow, and then Kanan right behind them with the spike. It's all going to come down to this waterfall section, and your items here. Embarrassment trying to catch up to the front of the pack. Uses the mushroom a little too early, though. They aren't able to use that for the shortcuts. Now the Kamek comes in, however. This could change the dynamic of the field as now everyone's a frog hop, and there's going to be massive fish right on the final corner. Squash with the feather. What a move to dodge all of those big Berthas and bring themselves all the way to the lead here on Cheap Falls. What a performance from Squash.
You can tell me the feather is a bad item, Bowsy, but it has its uses, and that exactly right there is one of them. It gets you out of those dangerous situations that you can't really prepare for. Yeah. Well done from Squash.
The feather is such a situational item. People have been calling it one of the worst items in the game, but it is definitely an item that could save your race, and that was clear there as we see Squash leading the field, Bowser Boy in third, and the gap from 4th to 5th is now at 4 points. Val currently holds the final spot over Knight.
Yeah, which means Knight really, and Knight, I feel bad. I feel so bad for Knight. Knight has raced incredibly well, but just unfortunately caught the bad end of so many different parts. Knight now basically has to top 4 for the rest of this if there's any chance for them to get into this last position.
One race left to decide it, so Knight needs basically a perfect race here for that final race. And it's all going to come down to what track we get, and I already see one track on the field that many people do not want to see, or probably don't want to see. That is Koopa Troopa Beach. 2 people picking Koopa Troopa Beach. Make that 3. Oh, man. We might be going to the Koopa DJ Disco Party.
Yep.
No, we're going to be going to... No, we're going to Koopa Troopa Beach.
It baited you.
Two Grand Prix in a row. We end at the institution of Baby Park here, Koopa Troopa Beach. A 5-lap absolute pandemonium shootout to determine the final 4 in the New England Summer Cup Finals. It all comes down to the Disco DJ.
You know, it's only appropriate here in beautiful Mass that we end up on the beach, right? Squash going to go ahead and just eat it for a minute, see what they can pull out of it. Triple shrooms, and the star will be good. That might be enough, but the question is, they send the star, right? Yeah, they just get it refilled immediately. Yeah,
goes for the immediate refill, immediate refund on that order. Gets probably ordered double on Amazon Prime Day by accident here. But right now it's Mr. T-Man currently leading the field. Again, a person who needs to win these next couple of races. We'll see if they're going to be able to do exactly that. But right in their rearview mirror, there's one of the Rosalinas, and Embarrassment as well, making their way up to the pack as well. Another driver is trying to secure their spot. Knight, meanwhile, Mega Mushroom in hand, going to be running over players, especially Mr. OneUp, unfortunately running over the venue that this tournament is being hosted at as they make their way up to the front. 4th place right now on lap number 3 of 5.
Please don't kick us out, Mr. OneUp. We really do like it here in this beautiful place. But Knight, again, this is one of those players needs to have a good lap. A 4th may not be good enough. Manages to avoid around that corner for now, but again, looking for anything. Green shell's no good. They really need they need something out of this.
Reminder that Knight right now is chasing Val, who I believe is the Koopa Troopa on the board right now. As they're trying to make their way up, they get hit by the fireballs. Yep, there's Val right in front of them, the player that they're chasing, and Val hits them with the triple red greens, but gets hit by the super run from T-Man. Now it's red shells hitting T-Man, and Knight is absolute pandemonium. Welcome to Koopa Troopa Beach, and it's just the final lap now beginning now. One more chance for these players to make a run, and Val gets hit before the item set.
Falling now down to 14th means they'll at least be rewarded with an item, but Knight has a chance in 9th, has to use these shrooms at the right time. There's no good spot for it. They'll have to settle for 6th. It's probably not enough.
We'll have to see if that's going to be enough. 6th place here for Knight in Koopa Troopa Beach. It all comes down to where their competitors finish at the end of the day. Right now, Squash taking the lead, and Shine in 2nd, Bowser Boy in 3rd, and it looks like at the end of it all, Val is not getting it. Kane able to squeeze up a spot in 4th place with 54 points to their name. I believe Enshine actually might have busted their way into that top 4.
Close. 3-way tie down at 6th place, including T-Man and one of our other racers. That's tough breaks. That's tough breaks for so many people. And you had called it, like, that beach is one of the most chaotic messes you could be a part of. It doesn't matter how good you are. It doesn't matter what skills, what shortcuts you've learned. You just... Sorry, I got distracted for a minute.
You get distracted for a minute.
I got distracted for a minute. I'm sorry. It's just hard. Look, there's so much chaos at that beach. The fact that it all stopped, I got distracted. I just can't help it.
Yeah, definitely. That shows just how impactful that sort of chaotic nature can be. And some players thrive in the chaos. We saw Aqua Twist thrive in the chaos to get a win on Koopa Beach to lock themselves into the grand finals back in qualifier number 2. Is there a chance Embarrassment picked that track to lock themselves into the finals here in the LCQ? The world may never know, but what we do know is we have our final 4 for the finals here. Our final 12 have officially been established. One of them is obviously Squash, which dominated that lobby. I believe won all but one race in the entirety of that, and that one race was DK Spaceport, which Bowser Boy was able to take the victory on, and they took 2nd place. But still, what a performance from Squash. 3 points away from getting a perfect score in that Grand Prix.
Yeah, and again, that's a bit of a statement, right? Like, that is one of those cases where, like, you go into, you not only survive the last chance qualifier, you dominate it. The finals lobby has to kind of look at that and go, all right, this is a racer that knows what they're doing. They clearly understand at least how to manage a lot of those courses. So Squash, in a way, has kind of bit of the target on their back going into this. Really does make that a lot difficult considering how stacked that lobby is.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. That lobby was incredibly stacked. It showed the sort of potential. As we take a look here, our final standings for the 2nd chance qualifier. Squash, Bowser Boy, and Embarrassment, and Kane are all moving on to the grand finals. Squash with 87, Bowser Boy 63, Embarrassment with 56, and Kane with 54. Val in 5th, 3 points off from making it out, 51 points to them. Knight, unfortunately, 48 points. T-Man tied with them, 48, and then Mr. OneUp with 34 points at the end of the Grand Prix. But overall, a strong showing from a lot of those players, showing that they truly wanted to be in that finals for the first major Mario Kart World LAN tournament.
Particularly for a player like Embarrassment, who, up until this moment, like their first showing was the this was their first look at this. So like that's impressive in itself to just kind of skip the whole morning, come in the last chance qualifier and make it. That's also something you have to be aware of if you are one of these finalist makes.
Yeah, definitely. As we take a look here, the final 4, again, the 8 players who will qualify from the qualifiers and the 4 players who got in via the last chance qualifiers. So there you have it. We now have our 12 ready for the grand finals, which is not just a normal race section, but it's also a knockout tour section. Did you cut out without us telling us?
Dave, did you?
Oh, we're taking a picture.
Oh.
All right.
Okay.
That's fine, too.
That's fine.
I had a chance to throw it, but okay.
Welcome back, everybody. We're taking that quick break just to kind of get the rest of our players. We're just taking our one big family photo here in Massachusetts before we send it away. Bowsy is taking a moment, catching a breath, because it has been an incredible day of Mario Kart. I'm still so up, Dan. Well, I mean, we are getting our last lobby, our final 12 ready to go. It's worth noting for this one, that there will not be racers. There will not be CPUs for this final. It will just be our 12 racers racing it out in the best maps of their choice. And this lobby in particular has just been incredibly, incredibly stacked. We have seen some incredible talent come through, including previous winners from previous placers from our Winter Cup. So lots of talent here, lots of skill here, and just so much to still learn here at our first Mario Kart LAN. We're still getting our players ready to go. All 12 of our spots are filling up slowly but surely, and we are getting closer, one step closer to placing our last 3 of our finalists. We will have small bits of prizes for our final 3 winners, our podium makers, and the rest everybody else. Well, it's just a long drive home, unfortunately. We've seen so much skill and so many different talents, so much just new tech being added into the game and adapted in real time from all of these players. And I don't envy being in this final lobby at all, because even our last chance qualifier players have had to really kind of bound it up. But let's not forget who helped us get this all here. Shout out to OneUp Games in Plainville, Mass, for giving us a home to host this incredible event. Shout out also to New Blue for bringing us those incredible graphics and all of those up-to-date stats as we get them. Shout out to Zasco Productions as well for helping set this all up. As we all know, or if you don't know, there's no prod slots here. This is all just hardwired in to some incredible stuff. So shout out to them for keeping it through. And shout out Bowsy, who will eventually be joining me back on the desk in just a moment in beautiful Plainville, Mass. And this Summer Cup has been quite a just impressive put together. Still so much talent, and just waiting for the last of those players to get into position. And even as I look around, I can see just so many of these players just grinding, trying out those last-minute tricks, trying to figure out any last-minute shortcuts they might be able to get to. Hi, Bowsy. Glad you made it. It's okay. First time was me. This time was you. We all get one. It's okay. It happens.
Well, they didn't see that you were gone, but that's besides the point.
Yeah.
But still, you were just talking about like all the shortcuts and whatnot.
Yeah,
to perform
we're still innovating. It's crazy. Even through the first episode, even through the first lobby, we've innovated so much in just what is the best pathing, what are the best ways to do this, and how do we, improve the game? How do we really take full advantage and get one step closer to that skill ceiling?
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be interesting to see how these players are able to adapt, even on the fly. It could depend on what track and what races they're going to be able to do here. So we'll have to see what they're able to do and which one's going to be getting the win here in this matchup. It all comes down first to who's going to be able to take home the championship.
And this lobby is just so tough. J-Dash, our 3rd place from the Winter Cup here. But I wish I could say that was our toughest clear winner, because players like William Curry dominated in the 2nd round, and Squash absolutely, just crushed that last chance qualifier. There is so much talent here that it's going to be very, very tough to make even the slightest prediction from this talent pool.
And I also want to give a big shout out as well to Bento making his LAN debut here today in a finals appearance here. That's huge. Like making your LAN debut and already making it into the grand finals shows how you can really perform. The question is, can you get that win and make it so you have a 100% win rate at LAN tournaments? There are people out there who have it. Take a look at PeoriaCon last year.
Yeah, true.
PeoriaCon early this year. The winner of that tournament was a first-time LAN goer. So it's going to be interesting to see what all these players are going to be able to do.
I think that's the fun thing about Mario. It was a little more applied, I think, for Mario Kart 8 in particular. It was kind of a position where you could just kind of roll up, and if you were good, you would be able to outrace everybody. I don't know that that's necessarily the case here, though. There's still so many different things that have to apply. There's so much more different factors that really do take it all apart, and really kind of just, I don't want to say you can't just roll up and win nowadays, but I will say that it is just harder to kind of walk up, pick up a controller, and just win.
Yeah, definitely, especially in this current age. But there is, thankfully, the resources of YouTube and also local tournaments that will help you learn these sort of new strategies to help make it so that you can be considered at the top, or at least get better at the game in general. So we do have a lobby reset that we have to do, unfortunately, because unfortunately the CPUs were turned on. The good news about having 12-player lobbies is that you don't need CPUs anymore.
Yeah,
so we're going to be having 12. We're going to be having 12 normal players, no CPUs, no gimmicks, the basics.
Good, honest Mario Kart, would you say, Bowsy? Is that where we're at?
We could call it good, honest Mario Kart, because now you don't have to worry about CPU lightning bolts, which we saw a lot of back in the qualifiers and the LCQ. and also CPU shenanigans, because the CPUs in this game are ruthless.
They are. Yeah, they will punish you. I do think it does bear. This does make an interesting point, though, like you said, because this game was designed for 24. We're cutting it in half now, and kind of one of the other parts of that was the game allowed for more time for things like second and third blue shells, second and lightnings, 2 and 3 bullet bills per player. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens, because now when you're sitting at 12, what maybe felt like an eternity, maybe you were going to be able to jump right in, maybe that 12 is much farther back now, and maybe those items you get you may not get as deep of an item pool just due to the limited number of players.
Yeah, so we'll have to see how these players are going to be able to adapt to that as we're loading in now to our grand finals run here. Now we've upped the total from 6 to 12 races, however, which means there is more time for mistakes, but also more pressure if you're trying to stay toward the front.
Yeah, you can use some of these earlier races to maybe pick some fringier picks or something that you've been working on, but you still have to win them. And if you gamble, you still need to make sure you have that space to recover, as we have our 12 maps in, and it's a familiar one.
Yep, we're going to Faraway Oasis to start it off here. We might as well go over to we might as well have the Lion King introduction to this while we have it as well.
Yeah.
Have the sunset rising in the distance. I'm going to laugh if it looks like it's a sunset, but I think it's just going to be a normal daytime.
Nah.
No, it actually does.
Oh, we got the sunset.
It is sunrise, pretty much. Close enough to it. So, you know what, we're getting exactly that. But regardless of which, it is time to start the grand finals of the New England Summer Cup here for Mario Kart World. Already taking a look at Kane, who's at the back of the pack and trying to get some powerful items to make their way to the front.
And you do have a little bit of a chance to use it, but remember, this is a very twisty and curvy path with a lot of rails that are you're able to keep your eyes on and grind from. So again, making sure you get full value of the grinds, of your jumps, and knowing when to place your items is going to be so important for a map like this. Look at how crowded that rail was, Bowsy. There's no world you don't get punished for trying that.
Yeah, definitely. It's riskier sometimes to go for those rails because you can get knocked off the rails depending on how fast and how heavy your competition is. Unfortunately, Ember found that the hard way. Bento, meanwhile, fell off at the waterfall section, so has no items to their name here approaching lap number 2, and is going to start falling back a little bit.
Still a fairly tight pack, though, in lap 2, so not anybody able to hit any of those very, very, pack separating, shortcuts or any real tech. So still fairly anybody's game. We still haven't seen a blue shell yet, Bowser, so there's still a game changer to be had.
We'll have to see if that blue shell does come in play right now. Ember currently going for a little bit of a fishy strategy, but has decided to stay in the back with these mushrooms. Gonna probably try to take these shortcuts here as they make use of that golden mushroom. But right now, it's Awoken up toward the front. Bowser Boy in third place. Looks like it might be J-Dash who's currently leading as the Daisy in that baby blooper. As yes, it looks like, I don't know.
That's good. That is J-Dash.
Oh yeah, it is J-Dash. Trying to remember the names. But Bowser Boy right behind them, though, with one mushroom in hand on the final lap of Faraway Oasis.
J-Dash was that one player that look, they had third back in the Winter Cup, and they were one of those players you really need to keep an eye out on. They were a dominant force. I believe they even won. They won the first qualifying pool. So you have to expect that they're going to be in front. But Bowser Boy just playing it safe. They kind of got here in the middle of the pack, and sometimes a second. You can get pretty far up with just second places.
J-Dash, meanwhile, leading the field, has a mushroom and even a coin box in their hand. They're basically running away with the bank right now. They are going to get hit by the red shell. Well, Awoken starting to catch up a little bit. It all comes down to this final corner. J-Dash has the bank. The ball of the lightning bolt comes at probably the worst time, and Awoken a little bit faster because of that higher acceleration is going to steal the win away from J-Dash at the final second.
This is exactly that cutthroat Mario Kart we were looking for, right? Just knowing when you use those items, when to take those shortcuts. And sometimes it comes down to just what happens. We did get one of the lightning and we did get one of the blue shells, but both were very, very late in the game. So I think that really does kind of show you what the itemization priority is going to look like going into this. So maybe not as many high swingy variance items in these upcoming 12 races.
Yeah, definitely. Anything can really happen. The item categorization is going to be completely off the wall because less players means less intense items, means less items in general as well, which means there's less of a chance of being able to see all of those powerful items. We might not see as many lightning bolts or blue shells or bullet bills or stars or golden mushrooms or mega mushrooms. So it's going to be interesting to see how these players who once were so used to having to deal with the pandemonium of 24 players are now having to adapt on the fly to just 12. You see J-Dash using that rewind feature, going to try to check out this Faraway Oasis cut, using that rail grind to get themselves all the way up to the front as we await our second track pick.
I mean, again, this is kind of expected, right? J-Dash is one of those just high pros, knows what it is. We are going back to the sky, though, Bowsy. It's going to be a big old question mark.
Great Question Block Ruins is the pick. And again, we talked about it earlier. This is one of those technically advanced tracks. This is a track where your technical skill needs to shine, because if you cannot find that technical skill, it is very difficult to make your way up to the front.
Not to mention just knowing those shortcuts and knowing those small things. This is a great high skill one, so we'll see what of these high skill players can make of it. And like you said, with a little less items, J-Dash is just going to go ahead and just take that shortcut.
Oh, interesting. Okay, goes for the sort of backup strategy to go immediately up to the front. So that shortcut is a shortcut that is well known. You can mushroom on that corner and then take the jump rail to hit that rail. J-Dash just says, all right, I'm going to smuggle for like 2 seconds, and then I'm going to make my way up to the front. So what a performance from J-Dash to make that happen, and now is basically contending William right now for the lead on Great Question Block Ruins as they both take this shortcut.
That's still just an impressive shortcut. That's so dope to see. But like we said, that is going to be the common shortcut. You're going to see almost every player, especially at this point, you're going to see many of them make that. So just knowing that skill isn't necessarily going to be enough.
And meanwhile, the blue shell very early on. J-Dash is going to dodge it with their last triple mushroom in that pack. And now using their mushrooms, but they missed the rail. The most crucial mistake you could have made if you're J-Dash. You had the mushrooms to get the rail, and you missed the jump onto it. Bowser Boy going to be able to make that jump meanwhile as they make their way up from the back of the pack here. But J-Dash had the perfect position, just unfortunately could not make it work in the last moment. And the lightning bolt as well is going to put everybody's chances of the lead in jeopardy.
You know, they're making us look like a full Bowsy. We just said you're not going to see nearly as many high randomness or high value items. And then we saw both almost back-to-back. Ember now in the first place, though. Shows you how quick those high variance items and just small mistakes can really change things up.
Obviously, the distance between the players, just because of how much technical skill is being used to make these shortcuts, is growing, which means those high-impact items are becoming more common here because it is a distance-based item system. But the final lap begins here on the Great Question Block Ruins. Ember currently leads. Kayoya is in their rearview mirror, and I believe that's Aqua was currently sitting in the top 3 right now.
Yeah, I mean, not a single name from our first round coming up here, and Ember just holding onto the protection. 13 points, has a 4th round. No tricky, no flashy shortcuts needed, just good, solid racing.
Right now, it's just that perfect technical skill, and he's already building up such an advantage over second place right now. Not even going to risk going for that jump onto that shortcut. Instead, just going to opt for the cloud route instead. Going for the low tricks to actually minimize the impact that those bounces are doing, and that's going to help them out so much here. Meanwhile, right in their mirror, J-Dash has Count right up to them with the daisy.
Wow.
Can they be able to snipe them out? Ember looking for anything, but there's no fishy business about this win. Ember takes the win on Great Question Block Ruins.
Just shows you again how quickly things can change in these lobbies. J-Dash is probably one of still the favorites. It still falls to second there, but that's a bunch of new faces up to the front, including Jinja, who was quiet in round 1.
Yeah, definitely a good showing so far from these players right now. Obviously starting to build their way up, and that points gap starting to become a lot more different. Currently, it is J-Dash in the lead with 24 points, but right behind them, 5 points back, is the next couple of people. A couple points back, then the next, a couple points back. So it's getting a lot closer, mostly because we're running off of the old point system from Arcade Deluxe. 15, 12, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, instead of the 15, 12, 10, 9, 9, 9, 8, whatever it is in the current 24 race format. But it shows just how close this sort of standings are going to get. But the question is, can you keep up this consistency if you are some of these top-ranked players? Because we saw the field went all over the place when it came from race 1 to race 2. So it's going to be a matter of can you keep that consistency up as we head over to Starview Peak for race number 3.
I mean, this is what we had not seen actually for the most of the day. We have seen a lot of players want to pick this one. And considering it is another, big Sky Rainbow Road-esque map, I mean, if you want to talk about like a good map that you just requires racing well on, this is another one that comes to my mind.
Yeah, definitely. This is a track that definitely requires a lot of that good racing skill. Can have some item luck, but the problem is there really are not a lot of shortcuts to take advantage of here.
No,
it's going to be difficult to make their way up to the front. Ember currently trying to lead the charge here, but instead it's the Nabbits of Jinja and William taking the lead instead here. Ember's just going to be opting to back up and wait for an opportunity to come back from the back to the front.
Nothing wrong with that. This is, again, it's a relatively shorter map, still 3 laps, but for what it's worth, it's just fairly simple. Like we had said, just good, honest driving will do so much here. Add in some good items, get some of the benefits of that. and it's enough to steal you up all the way to the top.
Jinja currently in top 3. It's Bento and Bowser Boy right in front of him. A couple of Bs taking the lead. That on J-Dash trying to take it away here as Ginger is trying to make some speed here. Opted to go for the side skirt instead of going into the water, which seems to be a little bit faster. But right now, Bento and Bowser Boy in the lead, and they have a hefty amount of items to keep them up there for quite a while.
They will quite literally be moving themselves up, and Bento in particular, the 3 red shells means they're going to be protected for a little while, but coming into lap 2, there's that blue shell I was worried about.
Blue shell comes out, but Bento has the dodge timing, immediately runs away from the blue shell. No sight of that shell to be seen. Bento barely able to make that glider, goes in between the wall and the banana peel to keep themselves so far in the lead here on Starview Peak.
Still fairly close together, though. No one really out of the way. That's J-Dash in second now. First red shell comes through that moves J-Dash into a better position to overtake. Sorry, that squash. There's so many daisies on the field. It's hard to tell them apart now.
Squash running in that burger head toad, making me a little hungry still, but regardless, still trying to take the lead. Bento still trying to hold the lead right now, has the triple reds to do exactly that, but now as we approach the final lap of Starview Peak, that lead has been cut basically to nothing. Bento needs to run a perfect race if they want to keep the lead, and they're already losing all those red shells that they just had at the start.
The protection's running out, and look at how close there is still everybody within a sight, which means that the item damage is going to go down. Blue will have to do with those coins. It's in the Mario Party. It's not Mario Party, so they won't do them any good here.
Yeah, but now it's Awoken taking the lead away. J-Dash going to be hitting Bento out. Now it's Awoken, William, and J-Dash who make up the top 3 as we head into the water section for the final time. J-Dash in probably the best position, forced to use that ghost in order to avoid that banana peel. Meanwhile, Kane toward the back, going to be using the lightning bolt. And guess who probably dodged that all the way in the front? It's J-Dash, but they get hit by the Nabbit, I believe, as Kane using this bull bill to get up to the front. J-Dash, meanwhile, that ghost was able to make the use perfectly. They will take the win on Starview Peak with William Cree right on their tail.
Still fairly close race. Again, we see J-Dash come out on top, but that was a hard-fought race, Bowsy. That was not an easy win for them. They had to kind of stick it out just on the back of those items. We talked about there are some maps where items can really make the difference. There's some where just your racing fundamentals. This is definitely one of those where just realistically, it just made the difference. It was just so important to make sure that they got value out of those items and were able to dodge and use them appropriately. Yeah,
definitely a good showing there from J-Dash. Again, a perfect awareness of the ghost. What many people have noticed is that the lightning bolt, whenever it's in play, typically tends to come out after that last item set. Because then no one can take advantage of an items, and whoever's in last and had that lightning bolt can just win the race easily. So obviously, heads-up awareness coming out there from J-Dash, using the ghost before the last item set and guaranteeing that immunity for that final item set. So now J-Dash in a pretty good position right now, 9-point advantage over second place right now. But it's still only the 3rd race
of
a 12-race sprint. Again, 6 race sprints, 12-race marathon. That is the difference right now between what we went through and what we're currently going through right now. As we take a look at these track picks, a lot of interesting picks again, but it looks like we're going over to tried and true Moo Moo Meadows.
It was bound to come up again, and like you said, this is that marathon portion, and it's been a long day. Remember, everybody here has already done, at a minimum, 6 some of our last chance qualifiers. Now, heading to 20 races by the time the day is done. So this is that point where not just you are testing your own mental of how do you know your tracks, do you know your skills, are you a good, competent racer, but also just the mental of how are you doing, after race 17, 18, 19, 20, do you still have all of those just awareness and those general just reaction times with you?
Kane going to be heading toward the back here to start off on Moo Moo Meadows. In fact, a lot of the pack is starting to head back here on Moo Moo Meadows. You can see Squash back there in the back of the pack. I believe also one of our 2 daisies, which is Bento or J-Dash, is back there as well. Kane's starting to make their way up, though, with these triple mushrooms, just trying to use them effectively here as the rest of the pack lies in front of them. We'll have to see if it's going to be their position at the end. Right now, Awoken and Embarrassment make up the top 2. A gold shell coming in play as well, as Embarrassment trying to make their way up.
Pushing their way, and Embarrassment has been fairly quiet. They did manage to sneak their way into the back of the. They managed to sneak their way into this qualifier from a no-show on the earlier segments, but they have not had an easy task. They are playing with the big boys now.
Absolutely. You're playing with the big boys now. If you're Embarrassment, no reference to the Prince of Egypt needed. It's now they're in 3rd place, getting hit by those hammers from Ember, not making their race any more helpful here. Ember and Bento currently make up the top 2. Again, Bento, we talked about their LAN appearance right now. Imagine the nerves. Your first LAN tournament, you're leading these races, trying to make a good performance. So far, Bento has not had a bad performance, though, in this finals.
No, has been showing very, very well, and considering how stacked this is, Ember just dodging those bullets right away, those ice balls really easily. It's tough. You are really making a statement here for coming in on that first lane. It'd be fantastic to take it out, but there's some tough competition, and Ember holding on to a little bit of protection from everything. Yep, just gives up that flower, it gives up that feather to get out of the way. Beautifully done.
Final lap here on Moo Moo Meadows. Bento currently leads, but now comes the point where all those power items are going to make your way up to the front. Squash has a Mega Mushroom in hand, has the opportunity to make all of these shortcuts. The Mega Mushroom does ignore the off-road. Bento, meanwhile, somehow got a Ghost up to first place.
Wow.
Like, how does that happen?
That's crazy.
Insane from Bento being able to make their way up to first with that Ghost. But now the question comes, can they get rebound? They get hit by the green shell from Awoken, get hit as well by that red shell. That Ghost just doesn't seem like it's going to be working. It's going to be Bowser Boy who takes the lead away. Bento just trying to survive all the way back to 11th place.
Wow.
After leading most of that race, they have to finish in sub positions.
I mean, I personally will blame you for the curse on that, Bowsy.
Yeah,
I gotta give it. That's on us. So sorry, Bento. But I mean, tough. I mean, that's tough. 20 tied with Kane towards the bottom, and again, this is a tough. Like, let's be real. We've said it. This is a tough lobby. This is not an easy place to be in. And considering you were pretty confidently in first place, to have to kind of then, that's a mental hurt. To know that you were so close to then just get run out like that hurts.
Yeah, it's so difficult being so close, yet so far away at the end. But unfortunately, again, Bento did play the strategy right. Used the Ghost after the final item set, was ready to dodge a Lightning Bolt if it came, but just the Lightning Bolt never came.
What's the thing? It's like you can play everything, you can do everything you're supposed to on paper, right? Like you can do everything you're supposed to, everything you know you're supposed to, but this is Mario Kart. Things don't always go as they expect. You can only do so much in regards to playing it safe and right.
Well, now we're heading over to Bowser's Castle here from the calm meadows of Moo Moo Meadows to the absolute fiery abyss that is Bowser's Castle. And this is one where I think you were stumped earlier at the Great Question Block Ruins. You might be stumped here on Bowser's Castle.
Yeah, very similar kind of environments, right? Very high skill in regards to knowing your shortcuts, knowing when to jump your rails, and knowing when to get these boosts. And you can see it right away. The pathing is just phenomenal. We saw so many of these players try to get these high rails early on. Somebody went for it.
Yes, someone goes for the Gap Cub. It's J-Dash who actually makes it. I believe William Cree also made it right in front of him. Or no, that's Jinja right in front of him. Jinja and J-Dash seeming to make the shortcut here first off to start. Question is, are they going to be going for the other shortcuts? Because there are other shortcuts. Jinja's going to try it. Goes for the wall ride. Goes all the way up to the sky.
Wow.
Maybe a little bit too far
Overshot
to the left, though. But J-Dash or someone else seemed to do it. Unfortunately, it's not J-Dash who's now running away with the lead. Double mushrooms in hand in first.
This is that case we were talking about. High risk, high reward. And sometimes you take the risk and you are rewarded. And J-Dash is... You know what? You just back it up with good racing, and you can hold on to it sitting in the front with at least one little bit of protection. That's not going to protect. Manages to avoid that blue shell. Beautifully done.
I believe they backed up as well, so William behind them could get hit by that blue shell. But now you're going to see this shortcut in action. J-Dash going straight on the bounce, all the way, skipping that entire wide first corner, thanks in part to the beautiful sequence of jumps. That is the type of shortcuts that people have found in this game since launch day. Yeah,
that's the one that we've seen players working on all morning prior to the event starting. And that still blows my mind that somebody thought they could make that. It truly gives some of the Mario Kart spirit. If you believe you can, you can.
Ember, meanwhile, in fourth place, trying to catch up here. Has some pretty good items to do exactly that. Is going to take this tight corner here. The lightning bolt hits them as they try to go in the lava. The good news about the lava in this game is that you can't fall into the lava and immediately die. You do have a little bit of a buffer. For every couple of seconds, you'll lose coins if you're in lava, unless you have a boost item. So, thankfully for Ember, does get bumped into the lava, but doesn't suffer an unfortunate fate. But now the final lap begins here on Bowser's Castle, and once again, it's J-Dash trying to take the corner, just barely able to survive, a little bit off skew, but still centered it perfectly. J-Dash in perfect position to take this win away. Yeah,
I was to say, look, high risk, high reward. It doesn't have to be pretty. It just has to be successful, and that's enough. But speaking of success, there are still...
Oh, squash! Oh, what the bullet
bill!
Oh,
that hurts.
No, that bullet bill was recalculating every 5 seconds. Looked like my GPS for my 2005 Honda Odyssey. But nonetheless, Bowser Boy, meanwhile, up toward the front, Awoken in second, but at the front of the field with basically no exception. No one stopping him in his tracks. J-Dash is going to take the victory here on Bowser's Castle, handing a loss to the rest of the field. Bowser Boy going to be taking third, Awoken taking second, and that's good considering Awoken and Bowser Boy are currently in contention for that top spot.
I was going to say, that's still fine if you're Bowser Boy or Awoken. Those are still, like, you need everything you're going to be. Even if you just acknowledge that, like, J-Dash just is able to complete that jump, makes those shortcuts like that, and you're not going to beat that, you still can podium. Awoken is just behind J-Dash there, so there's still a chance that, you know, like, look, there's no shame in being number 2. If you can tell that someone is just going to take number 1, they are just that better, there's no shame in being number 2.
Absolutely not. And even if you are number 2 right now, what I'd say the chances are that we go to tracks that J-Dash is not comfortable in the shortcuts are, maybe you could take advantage. You could try to take advantage of that sort of strength. Or maybe tracks that don't rely on those shortcuts as much. Maybe you want to throw in an intermission just for the heck of it. We still haven't seen one. We still have not seen an intermission. It's very possible we could. But it's going to be interesting to see what these players decide to do, especially if you are Awoken right now. 6 points behind first place and still with, I believe, over a half a GP to go.
Yeah, we are still not even halfway through all of this yet. Still plenty of roads to see, places to go. I don't think we're going to see an intermission today, so you can rest easy for that.
We're going to be going to Airship Fortress here for our next race, so it'll be interesting to see if this track is going to lend to that sort of potential that we talked about. Not a lot of shortcuts here, mostly rail grinds.
Yeah, but we've seen players like go off and just hit like Tony Hawk's Pro Skater level grind sessions. Like, there is still, like, maybe it's not a shortcut, maybe it's not like an incredible skip like that, but just knowing that you can build the speed and get those kinds of rails going, that's enough for a player like J-Dash or Squash to, like, really kind of cap out. Like, look at, he hits this ball perfectly. J-Dash just absolutely knows it.
Yeah, J-Dash just basically muscle memory at this point, knowing the perfect shortcut strat and hitting the wall as well to get a perfect drift into the corner here and into the airship. Again, J-Dash seems to be on another level right now, but again, so much more race to run, but for Awoken, it's going to be a hard race to run as they get hit by the dragon and are already knocked back. Yeah,
not to mention Jinja's bananas also, so still we'll have the reward of at least falling towards the back of the pack, but it's not going to be enough. This tower section, again, you have to kind of get maximum boost value out of it. You could just sit there and hold the drift, but you need those boosts if you're going to try to keep the pack. William overshoots it, though.
William overshoots the rail. Now Jinja takes the lead here on Airship Fortress now. Jinja trying to hold out tight here with these items, not willing to go for the risky tricks here to try and keep that lead even farther away from the rest of the pack. And you can see that pack starting to creep up ever so slightly as we continue through the corners of Airship.
Yeah, again, no drastic shortcut, but this is a very rail grinding important map here. Even through this cannon, well, you can kiss that item goodbye, but you're still in first place, Jinja, so this is going to have to be a consolation for now.
Jinja right now still leading the pack. 1 coin in hand, is going to be able to get a protection item off it. Meanwhile, right behind them, the devil lurks in the sidelines. J-Dash currently in second place, has the tools necessary to take this lead away if they so wish as the final lap begins here on Airship Fortress. Does J-Dash go for the risky play to try and secure an early win in this GP? They go for the red shell move on the rails, but the green shell follows the rail and misses Jinja entirely.
I mean, J-Dash might try to push for that, but I don't know that
the shock!
In shock. I don't know if it hit anybody out of the air, though.
It did hit Bowser Boy with the dodge, so Bowser Boy was able to dodge that. Unfortunately, doesn't look like they're going to take advantage. Meanwhile, Kane trying to make their way up to the rest of the pack. Still, Jinja in the lead. J-Dash right on their bumper. It all comes down to these final turns here, especially with this spiral tower. Jinja currently leading. Here comes J-Dash with the mushroom cut. Takes the super horn. Hits Jinja out and takes the lead away. What a steal from J-Dash in the 11th hour to take the win on Airship Fortress.
Oh, man, I wish you could see it. Jinja just absolutely just got up out of chair. That I would be absolutely as pissed too. He was right there. He knew it. Oh, that hurts. That hurts. Jinja's feeling that one for sure.
Yeah, he's going to be feeling that one in the morning. The good news for Jinja is still in the top half of this Grand Prix right now. The bad news for the rest of the competition, J-Dash has now built up even farther of a lead.
Yeah, J-Dash, I mean, look, 3rd place from the Winter Cup, obviously has a bone to pick, wants to go home with the gold, making a statement that they are going to do it. It's hard to look at anybody else than say, look, you're just playing for 2nd place now with how J-Dash has been performing today.
Yeah, definitely. J-Dash just seems to, again, be on another level as it stands right now. But still, there is the potential that some of these players could make a difference as these stages go on. So the question is, which one is going to be the first to strike here. We take a look right now at our track selection. Have some interesting ones. Again, we talk about the fundamentals, wanting to be better and on just like the fundamentals. Mario Bros. Circuit is one of the tracks we're seeing here early.
Yeah, we are also getting a look at the general kind of overall meta of the maps, right? To see what it wants to be, but it's not going to be. Let's get ready to catch some big air, Bowsy.
Yeah, I'm heading over to DK Pass all the way on the other side of the map here, getting some big air, getting some snow drifting in. We'll have to see which of these players is going to be beneficiary on this sort of track. Because, again, this is a track with a lot of those sort of advanced strategies, and I'm actually interested to see which players are going to go for them. Because I just recently learned about some of these strategies a couple days ago.
Yeah.
So that just shows, like, again, a constantly evolving game. Players are learning these tracks on the fly, and by the end of this, it's just going to be an absolute mess to see who's going to be taking these strategies and who isn't.
Yeah, and look at that. Right away, right off that pole, just a huge gap cut. That is so big. Again, one of those things that now impressive and maybe not as known, but eventually down the road, it's going to be a must-take.
Yeah, definitely. It saves you a lot of that time trying to get the drifts off here. As currently Bento fighting here in the top 4. Aqua Twist, Kayoya, and William Cree, I believe, all making up the top 4. Make that Bento in the top 3, trying to drag out with these triple bananas, but unfortunately going to be losing some. Right now, Aqua Twist and William Cree starting to make an impact. And Aqua Twist is someone we haven't really talked about. Again, made their way in with a very tight round in round number 2 and currently battling their way in through the top here.
Yeah, I mean, even with J-Dash not necessarily in the front, it's still, you can still kind of see here, got the boost off. That's exactly what they needed for William Cree, who's, again, maybe struggled, had a very, very dominant showing in that second round, but has been fairly quiet.
Yeah, probably should watch out if you're William Cree right now. The bomb's on the track, gets hit by that one, will lose that protection. Just unfortunate there. It's easy to tell what Kamek spells can happen depending on what character you get transformed into. For William, because they're running Nabbit, they didn't get transformed into Nabbit, who is the sign of bombs. So, but for now, William's still trying to get a good top position. But right now, Bento right on their bumper right now with that Daisy, and Aqua Twist still in position. But now comes the situation where all these players from the back are going to start making their way forward with all of these shortcuts, especially this large final quarter shortcut. You already see Kayoya making their way up to the top as the final lap hits, and so does the Lightning Bolt.
It's still fairly close here. As you can see it, there's the top 4, all still within each other. So they're going to look at drafting. It's going to look at character jumping. These small mechanics that maybe you kind of forgot or maybe you don't necessarily get to take advantage of.
Bento's going to be taking this shortcut yet again, but gets dragged out by William on the landing. Meanwhile, Ember with the bullet bill makes their way up to the top of the field. Bento still struggling for a good position. Meanwhile, Ember, what an item pull all the way at the front. The star to the front takes the lead away, and now is trying to run away with it here on DK Pass.
Ember, again, had one strong showing on one of the previous maps. Needs some more if they're going to get themselves out of this. But Squash, yet another name we haven't seen much of this afternoon, has shown up in first place.
Squash dominated the LCQ. Now trying to dominate here on DK Pass. Final corner. Squash with a perfect advantage. Ember's just barely threading the needle between himself and the track. It's a drag race to the line, but it's Squash with the lead, just barely taking it over Ember at the end of the day. But what an incredible finish from them. Meanwhile, right behind him is J-Dash, now at 84 points and continuing to separate that lead. Now it's a 19-point differential between him and Awoken.
You know what really hurts here, Bowsy? Aqua Twist, who was sitting in the top 3 for the majority of that, from that last corner, fell all the way to the bottom. 12th, ended in 11th. For a player that was really needing a top 3 finish to keep themselves alive and keep their hopes of podiuming, that hurts. That's so unfortunate.
That really does hurt if you're Aqua Twist. Again, such a strong performance in that race, but just couldn't put it together at the end of it. But the good news is you still have a couple of races here to try and make an advantage, especially if you're the rest of the pack still trying to chase J-Dash. Again, a 19-point differential from first to second.
And that's a differential that at this point, feels impossible to catch up on. But all it takes is J-Dash having one rough level here, one rough map to really kind of bring it home.
Looks like we're going over to Wario Stadium here.
Okay, that's a new one.
Yeah,
first time today.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see the sort of strategies these players go. Again, this is another track. First off, the long-awaited last remake from Mario Kart 64.
Yes. I think a lot of players have been clamoring to see something, to see this map again, considering there's a lot of, I would say there's a lot of treasured memories for a map like this, but it does lend itself to a lot of aerial time, a lot of jumps, a lot of tricks. So you have to kind of make sure you get full advantage of that. And I also saw a lot of players get up on the high of this too, and you'll see Squash there try to get on tops to those rails.
Yeah, definitely. These rails can be very beneficial. Take a look at Ember's move here. Goes all the way on the rails of the stadium. And you already see a lot of players just taking the tricks, making their way up to the rest of the pack here. Ember just barely missing that rail, but thankfully it's early enough to the point where that's not going to hurt you as much as it would later down the line.
No, it's once you start really getting these chains grind sessions, once you connect all of those jumps together is where it is. This is one of those ones where, again, if you haven't necessarily been looking for wall rides or you haven't been having success with them, you'll feel it like Ember is.
Yeah, Ember unfortunately getting hit back a little bit here through the pack, currently in 11th right now. Meanwhile, it's William Cree up at the front with Kayoya. The tire's actually blocking that red shell that was heading toward Kayoya. Now William Cree taking the lead away. Kayoya getting the brute force of that blue shell. Meanwhile, right next to William, to no one's surprise, it's J-Dash with a mushroom in first place right now.
Yeah. I mean, J-Dash has kind of done that these last couple of maps. Been very, very quiet, but snuck their way into these winning positions. William Curry has to adjust on the fly. Again, this is what I was talking about. You have to make sure you chain those full grinds all the way to the next point, and William Curry is doing an incredible job of doing that, even giving J-Dash a run for the money right now.
Noteworthy William Cree, the also reigning champion at PAX East 2025 earlier this year, trying to take another trophy home. Embarrassment currently in second place behind him as the bomb is launched off on that ramp. Embarrassment just not having a good time. In fact, they might be embarrassed of how badly they're doing right now, but still, third place right now. They're still holding on to a good position. But right now, J-Dash up in second. Awoken trying to make their way up again. That player, Awoken, is chasing down J-Dash for the top position as the final lap begins on Wario Stadium.
Final lap and still fairly close. I do see a Nabbit up in the front, though, and that means that they are pulling away from the pack. They have hit and gone unbothered in their lane the rest of the way, but the pack is still close, so any of those last-second high-value items, like that shell, could be impactful.
Blue shell in play. Awoken trying to catch up here as William Cree's going to get hit by the blue shell, loses their banana as well. Now it's going to be Bento who's taking the lead. A player, again, first LAN appearance, trying to get a win in their first LAN in the grand finals. One mushroom in hand, has the opportunity to take this lead away. Now Awoken right behind them. It's all going to come down to this final set. It's the coin coffer, which means there's going to be chain chomps all across the track as Bento's trying to get rid of him. The red shell hits them. The banana doesn't come out in time, and the mushroom stolen. It's Awoken who's going to be taking the lead away here on Wario Stadium. At the end of the day, Awoken wins. William Cree will secure a fourth place. The question is, where did J-Dash finish? Finish six. That's a tough hit for Jay.
The gap 91
down to 11.
Yeah, that's a much closer gap. Even William and Squash and Ember tied in fourth at 62 means that they still have a chance going into these last couple of races, Bowsy. It is still a chance to get on that podium, and all it takes is for J-Dash to have another tough game, another sub-4, and suddenly we got ourselves a circuit here. We
could have ourselves a very close Grand Prix here, depending on what these track selections are. But definitely, what an interesting shakeup with Wario Stadium being in the mix, especially when you look at Bento there. Obviously, the chain chomps all around them, having to think about wanting to try and take that shortcut, maybe just too much happening at once, not able to think straight in that situation. Just an unfortunate circumstance falling that far back, but for Awoken, it was a perfect opportunity. Just took it all away.
Well, then knowing that you're, thinking, oh, I have a mushroom, let me just go ahead and smash that to cut this corner. Nope, that's gone. You can't ever predict what your safest position is going to be in. And, the other good thing is that now we're, the doubles are going to start going away. We're going to start getting into those more fringe races.
Looks like we're going to be going over to Wario Shipyard here for our next race of the Cup. Interesting note how I saw a couple people picking Faraway Oasis. Did we start on Faraway Oasis?
We did start on that one. I don't think it ever got picked in this cup yet, in this round yet.
Okay, yeah, I was just making sure because I remember starting it once. But regardless, 9th race, 3 races left after this, or 4 races left after this. 10, 11, no, 3 races left after this.
Counting is hard.
Yes, it is very hard. You know what's not hard? Racing on Wario Shipyard, unless you really are going for the professional strats, which we see already Awoken and Jinja trying to take full advantage of.
Yeah, and this is, again, one of those modes where you could sit in the water and maybe lose a little time, but you can still get so much value. It's where mushrooms actually get a lot of bonuses for here.
What a banana, though, from, I believe, William on top of the rail. Squash getting hit by that, unfortunately not able to take the cut now, falling back a little bit. Meanwhile, J-Dash still up in the top 3, still trying to take advantage of these shortcuts. They try to go for the wall ride, unfortunately missed the shot, but are still going to hit William with those double green shells, preventing them from taking the rail.
Oh, caught that. Wow, J-Dash is putting in a masterclass of these rail jumps. Hits Awoken as well, but Awoken maintains the lead. this is definitely, Awoken is really just trying to push the tempo and give J-Dash a run for the money.
Awoken right now, again, the closest person to contesting J-Dash, might be the only person to contest J-Dash if the races keep going the way they have. It's all up to Awoken right now as they currently lead over J-Dash right now in this race. It all comes down to who can pull off the perfect strategy. J-Dash going for the charge jump, so is Awoken. They both go for the rail. J-Dash hits it perfectly, though, and they're able to hit the tree jump and make their way to the lead thanks to that perfect cut.
Beautifully done, and going to even shortcut on those corners a little bit. Aquatwist unfortunately falling behind in the middle of the pack, still fairly close. That Bullet Bill might actually do some damage here as these high-value items are there. Bento's holding out of the lightning, but just waiting for that moment to strike.
It all could come down to when Bento wants to use this. Do they wait until the final item set, or do they try to use it to take advantage of it for themselves? The final lap about to begin here on Wario Shipyard. Once again, J-Dash and Awoken leading the field. A Kamek comes through the middle, and Spike Balls are going to be littering the track.
I kind of feel like, yeah, I was saying he's going to use it there. He waited for that moment to try to run everybody off the road, and it was rewarded with a third place, rewarded with some placements up, but Bento still in third. Kind of managed to avoid the majority of that.
And meanwhile, Awoken takes the lead back here from J-Dash as they're chasing each other up toward the front. Kyoya now making it advance with a Bullet Bill in hand as they head toward the ship section. J-Dash starting to fall back, loses their banana, has a Super Horn in hand. The bomb barely able to dodge it from Kyoya. Thank goodness to the bomb hitbox changes they made between Mario Kart 8 Deluxe and Mario Kart World. Now J-Dash, do they hold on to position? Do they go for the risk for the first place? Triple red shell in hand on Kyoya, currently leading the race. They go for the red shell hit. They hit Kyoya. They hit Awoken. J-Dash eliminates everyone in sight and takes the win on Shipyard.
Wow. What a comeback from J-Dash. Could have just been fine to sit in third place and just said, you know what, let me play it safe. No, risk rewarded there, sending those red shells forward, recognizing my opponents don't have anything to guard them, and if they do, I have the resources to outplay it. 106 is our leader, almost 20 points ahead of second place.
25,
sorry.
Place right now, 81 to 106. He is on right now. J-Dash is on pace to guarantee at least the lead in this cup before they even hit race number 11.
Wild. Truly our strongest competitor for the field. Again, like, we've known them. We've seen them in the Winter Cup. They placed third, and we can only wonder what it would be like if their other competitions were competitors were here, but we don't. Instead, we get some new maps because, like you said, this is winding down, and man, J-Dash just seems to know it. It just seems to know all of these just individual moments, cramming when to get those tricks in.
So we'll see what the next track selection is going to be here. Again, only 3 races left here, and we're going to go to Dry Bones Burnout, what many people has dubbed one of the best tracks in this game, because it literally is 2 separate tracks layered on top of each other.
Yeah, and it's really interesting to see how these players are going to interact between both of them, because there are moments where you have to know which is my shorter route, how can I use one track or the other to kind of get an advantage, when do I play high, when do I play low. Really a great test of just these players' knowledge of the map and the space involved in racing on it.
Meanwhile, J-Dash already showing how they can make advantage of these cuts, go straight for the wall ride instead of going for the corners. Does get hit by that trailed banana, though, so it's going to be falling back a little bit here to start off the race. But thankfully, it's early enough for J-Dash to make that comeback and make their way back up to the front.
Still a long race, still very early, so J-Dash building up those coins. Has a star to hold onto for now, falls into the lower track, but like, I think you're fine with this. Like, you're going to use the star when you know everybody's kind of more grouped up to try to give yourself the advantage, so I don't think you're worried if you're J-Dash.
Yeah, just going to be chaining items right now, looking to try to make their way back up to the front here. Kane, meanwhile, using that coin box, trying to find their way up to the front, has a golden mushroom in hand, and this is probably why you want to save for those back items here. That item box that you just saw J-Dash go through, that is the last item set on this track. So you are spending half of the track with basically no items in tow, and that final section has a lot of lava shortcuts you can take.
Yeah, and you're really going to be looking to those mushrooms, maybe some of those middle-of-the-road items to try to get you the value there. Awoken's going to, unfortunately, they know they avoided it. They managed to avoid that one there, but again, these mushrooms, suddenly the middle value items have a lot more value here.
Any mushroom can make or break your race here on Dry Bones Burnout here, as we see Bowser Boy getting their mushrooms stolen here from someone else's ghost. Still, however, doing a pretty good job in 4th place. But again, I mentioned that item set is the last one. Now you hit that lightning bolt, and now you're not getting another item until the next lap. Kane, meanwhile, getting a dodge here with the bullet bill, already up to 2nd thanks to that.
That is going to be huge for a player like Kane, who's, definitely needs a big win to get themselves anywhere closer to the top of the podium. But Awoken, still at the front, is trying to come. Like, Awoken is just on the tails. We don't know where J-Dash is by comparison, but J-Dash looks like they've been struggling in the back, so this could be huge. Oh, there's
J-Dash. Second place right now, chasing up toward the lead right now, trying to take that lead away from Awoken. The magic number is 30. If J-Dash has 30 more points than 2nd place, they have locked in at least 1st place for now. Now J-Dash still trying to come up. Triple green shells in hand, a single coin in their pocket, trying to take away any sort of position. Do they go for the risk, or do they try to wait, or do they just play it safe and hope Awoken doesn't get enough points to stop their advantage?
Again, the question is does J-Dash even need to? I mean, with all those small little boosts from the jumps every single moment, it feels like J-Dash could just almost sit back, play it easy, and just protect the 2nd place. Looks like they did just that, though, and I don't blame them. Like you said, 30 points is the magic number, and Awoken is close, but you can if you can take the sure thing, why not just take it?
The only good news is because of that, they are not guaranteed the win just yet, but the gap has closed to 22 points. Still only a massive
22.
gap.
Only 22, Bowsy.
Only 22.
Only 22.
But here's the thing. If he has 2 bad races.
It's not impossible.
Not impossible. It's
unlikely, yeah.
It's as far away as the edge of Cape Cod.
Yeah.
But it's still in sight. Let's put it that way.
It's not impossible. Unlikely, yes, but for a player like J-Dash, who's, again, has been working so hard throughout the day, just been playing and racing their best all day long, like, I think you're fine. I think you're kind of know the end's in sight, kind of as you have in a lot of these races. You can see the end, and you're just happy to, like, look, I'll just coast my way through. I'll play it a little bit safe. My earlier risks have been rewarded, so let's just coast on it. Let's just take what we can get and go.
All right, looks like we're heading to Faraway Oasis here for race number 11 in this Grand Prix.
Oh my God, it's the intermission. It's the intermission, Bowsy.
Oh boy. Well,
we get the intermission for it.
So I guess someone wanted to take the risk. So I guess that's why we were picking Faraway Oasis. So we're heading from Crown City to Faraway Oasis.
This is it. I'm shocked. We get our first intermission of the day, and this is literally a different game. Like you said, like you've kind of said, this is our first look at this and how it would play out in this in a statement. It's going to be a long road. It's going to be relatively flat, but what does this mean for the players? Because now it's not just what does your items do, it's how do you use the rest of the world around you. Yeah,
the big thing about this intermission, especially this one, is that compared to the other intermissions, there's not a lot of shortcuts here. You're traveling on this bridge. Do you like traveling on the canal bridge, that's Canal Tunnel Bridge, like from Delaware to Maryland? Yeah, congratulations. Welcome to Mario Kart World on this intermission. But still, you're seeing that some of these front runners are trying to take the front runs while a lot of other people are staying in the back, and this is why many people don't like intermissions, because the gap is pretty much stagnant. You see where the Bowser is right now. You see where J-Dash is up at the front. The distance does not really change unless you make it change yourself, and there's really no chance for technical skill. So this is why intermissions are widely not liked in this game.
No, but it does force you to kind of play a little bit differently. Like you said, it doesn't necessarily reward the technical skill of these players, but what it does is it forces you to play the environment a little bit more. It forces you to play your items a little bit differently. Bowser Boy has been holding on in 12th. You know, look, they are still are they going to hold on to this bullet bill all the way towards the end, or are they going to try to get it? Because we are coming now into this final segment where we will have the actual course coming in, and the bullet bill in that environment would make a difference.
We head up to the final stretches right now. Some of the players getting turned into conquistadors there thanks to Kamek. Right now, Embarrassment trying to catch up toward J-Dash, who currently leads. And looks like J-Dash doing a pretty good job. But now Ember again. We talked about being from the back to the front. Uses the Golden Mushroom to get up to first. And now the final lap begins on the one lap of Faraway Oasis. J-Dash currently leading, trying to lock up the lead.
I mean, J-Dash has seen this multiple times already today, has probably been racing this forever. I don't think he's even remotely worried on that. So I think the question is what happens with Awakened, because we haven't seen a lot of them beautifully done.
Awoken trying to make their way forward, but J-Dash, so much technical skill showed off here as they make their way onto the rails. The only thing that could stop them right now is a blue shell. And it all comes down to this last item set, and it doesn't look like it's going to happen. J-Dash, with such a strong performance in this entire cup, locks in that first place with a feather jump over the wall.
Wow.
The blue shell's there, but it's no use. J-Dash locks up first place in the 12-race Grand Prix.
You know, Bowsy, for what it's worth, I had fun with that intermission. I know most of the racers didn't, and I know chat might have hated it, but I had fun, and I guess that's something.
Our producer is cursing at the person who picked that intermission, but there you go. J-Dash with 133 points. Now, I would say, wow, that's the championship all locked up.
No.
Everything's fine. We have a knockout round after the final race.
That's true.
And that can determine a percentage of how good your points are. So if you're J-Dash and you somehow get a bad finish in the knockout round and Awoken gets first place in the knockout tournament, your lead's in jeopardy, and you might have lost this cup just like that. So anything could happen. We still have one race. It all determines on what the points can be here, but after that race is a knockout tour, which can change the entire scope of this.
And mind you, we've not done knockout tours, honestly, up until this point. So it's, players are keeping it in the back of their mind, but they're not necessarily prepared for that. That intermission was probably the first look at something similar to that. So maybe that was a good, hate it all you want, but maybe it's like taking your vitamins.
Oh, no. Did we get another intermission into Peach Stadium?
Yes. We sure did.
No.
We sure did, Bowsy. Look, Squatch is happy for it. Squatch is in for it.
Someone is not going to be leaving OneUp games with their Switch, too. Let's put it that way.
Someone's getting bullied.
Someone's getting bullied as we are on the final race. Another intermission. Koopa Troopa Beach to Peach Stadium. You like straight lines? Because this is the straightest line you could ever find.
Look, it sure is a straight line. It's straighter than I could draw a straight line, but there is something to be had for this intermission. Like we said, it did give a couple of those players who were in different positions the chance to kind of get back in. So there's a chance that maybe one of these players maybe pushing their way up the middle of the pack, maybe just outside the podium. Maybe there's a chance for them to use this to their advantage.
You see the pack currently just fanning out through this single straightaway here. Jinja currently in 6th place with a bunch of power items at their disposal as we're basically making our way over to the Peach's Castle in the distance where Peach Stadium begins. The interesting part about this intermission is unlike other intermissions to Peach Stadium, especially ones where you race on the normal circuit, you're actually skipping the entire first turn of the normal circuit. So you're not racing a full lap around Peach Stadium, you're missing that first turn, which some players here could see as a disadvantage because that first turn is a massive mushroom shortcut.
Yeah, I'd say there is a lot of advantages to that, so maybe a bit calculated. But like I said, going into these intermissions, these whole intermissions are calculated. What items do you carry into the one final lap? It just kind of lets you know. And while everybody's still grouped up, players like William Cree here kind of catch the brunt of everything bad, and that's a bullet bill from our leader sneaking their way into first place.
The final lap now begins here as now it's J-Dash currently making their way up, but there's a blue shell in play. They're going to have to dodge it with their mushroom, and that's exactly what they do. Bento right in the bumper, but the lightning bolt comes in. Bento hits the green shell, trying to get themselves back to big form fast as possible. Meanwhile, some players have dodged, including William Cree in that Nabbit, making their way up to the front of the pack, and look what they've got in their pocket. It is a bullet bill in 3rd place. William Cree might be able to steal this lead away from J-Dash in the final corner.
Looking to do so, that gold coin goes through. They managed to dodge, but it does give William Cree the space. No, the shortcut from J-Dash chases the bullet bill.
The
green
tighter
go wide.
lines versus the main route of the bullet bill is not enough. Sometimes raw skill beats out bullet bills, and that's exactly what William Cree unfortunately lay victim to. But there you have it. There, J-Dash winning this cup here with 148 points, a 32-point advantage.
Woken in second at 116, and I believe that was William Cree in third at 106. So even our second and third place still fairly close together. So there's still some impact to be had for our knockout race here, Bowsy. There's still points to be had. It could maybe upset that second, third dichotomy a little bit, depending on what happens, because it is a sliding scale of success.
Well, now as we head into the knockout tour portion of this cup, one thing is on everyone's mind. Stop J-Dash.
Yeah.
Because if J-Dash gets eliminated early in the knockout tour, that means that there's the potential for anything to happen.
Yeah. It's worth noting that I believe last place of that with the CPUs in play is something like 2%.
2%
so it's
extra
not
on
a
the score
huge bonus. Whereas someone who's already close, second place, well, if you get that first in the knockout, 20% of your points is it's a good chunk of points.
Yeah, that's a
good chunk.
That's a pretty good chunk of points for J-Dash right now. 20% of 148 would have to be somewhere in like the
20, 30.
That would have to be somewhere in there. 20% of 100 is 20, so it's probably around 30 to 40.
Yeah, that's enough to make an upset. So that is a big deal. So while J-Dash has pretty safely bagged themselves a top position, it's not concrete. They're just waiting for it to settle.
You know, now that I'm thinking about it, since second place, if I recall, is like 116.
Yeah, there's a chance.
I think J-Dash still has already locked it up. 20% of 116 is not enough to catch 100.
It's 22-ish, 22, 23.
This is where we pull out the phone and do the calculations on the line.
Look, I count to 4 for a living, so my general guess is at 23 points. That would put, I think, 139, just short of 140. So I do think J-Dash has it locked up.
So 23, yeah, J-Dash has already locked up the title.
J-Dash has locked this up in first place, so congratulations to them.
J-Dash has nothing to worry about in the knockout tour. They've already won the whole dang thing with 146 points.
Well, I mean, I would still be curious, though, to see how J-Dash does, because remember, this is our first event here.
Right.
This is our first LAN. We're not seeing that. Future formats may actually favor something like knockouts, may actually look to incorporate them more. Heck, we may, in our Winter Cup, may just say, all right, everybody's running 3 laps and a knockout for the future. You know, who knows what might happen. This may be something that is impactful. So if you want to talk about being the best player at the game, you still need to be the best at all facets of the game. Yeah,
so right now is the standings shown just there with our graphics provided by New Blue. Thank you, New Blue, for the graphics here for the New England Summer Cup 2025. J-Dash currently has 148 points, and right behind them is Awoken with 116.
Yep.
So it really is determined between second and third, because right now Awoken at 116, then William Creed 103.
Yeah.
So really, the percentage bonus you can get from this knockout tour could make a difference in terms of those positions below J-Dash. We already know J-Dash is locked.
Yeah, J-Dash is fine. Yeah.
No matter what. J-Dash could comfortably rest. They probably don't even have to play the knockout tour if they don't want to.
No.
But at the same time, wouldn't you want to show that you're the best in every Mario Kart world?
Oh, yeah.
Show that you're the best at not just the normal 3-lap circuits. Show you're the best at intermission-based gameplay and knockout tour.
Yeah, because hear me out. Let's be real here. We don't know what Mr. Nintendo is going to do for their event.
No.
For all we know, they could just be like, y'all are running knockouts. That's it. We don't care about your traditional races, or it could be some combined segment. So you have to be able to do all of these pieces. For all we know, they might just make you run intermissions in the official Nintendo like Tier 1 style. We don't know, so you might as well come out and make the statement that I am the best at all aspects of this Mario Kart World game for the time being, and I will ride that as going as far as I can.
Yeah, absolutely. As we're getting ready to see what rally we're going to be getting. The fun part about rallies is just like with the races, you get to vote on what rally you want to race on. So there are 8 different rallies in the game that you can choose from, all of which bring you from a different destination, from one place to another, and the destination track also is changed depending on what track you're going to.
I see 3 cherry tracks, a couple looks like
we see some ice rally, we see the spiny rally, the golden rally, no heart rally surprisingly. It looks like we're going to be going over to the golden mushroom rally, which I believe is the first rally you get in the game. And it's going to be bringing us all the way from DS Desert Hills to Acorn Heights.
And that's a lot of intermissions. It's a long road ahead. So remember, it's going to be important to space out your item usage. Hold on to the ones that are high value, because you're going to need them just to make sure you clear. We are playing with a full 24, so we have NPCs on board. So don't fall too far behind, but make sure you get your good items now.
Absolutely. It's all going to be pandemonium now with 24 players, but every single checkpoint we go through, 4 people get eliminated. So now, if you want to be in the mix after the first checkpoint, you got to be 20 or better here. Take a look at Embarrassment right now sitting 15th, but again, you don't have to worry about being at the top right now. You just have to worry about being in that 20-place threshold.
It's why Embarrassment there was holding onto the star, knowing it's going ahead. It's why J-Dash sitting in 23, knowing they don't need to. Looks like they got that Mega Mushroom. That's probably what the item they're looking for. They're just going to try to get a good item and hold on to it. And you can see it, even in the farther back places, those kind of dangerous run spots, they're holding on to items that they know will boost them ahead in the time being.
Right now, Bowser Boy making their way into the back right now. Going to be using the star to chain all their items to try and get something better. We'll get a bunch of mushrooms for their efforts. The question is, can they catch up to the rest of the pack with them? As everyone's just hitting the bully in the middle of the road here. But now, as you see, that path getting shorter and shorter. We are closely approaching the first checkpoint at Mario Bros. Circuit. So that top 20 is going to be determined sooner rather than later.
And the pack's still pretty close together. Embarrassment holding onto that star. They've been holding it for a while. They might actually choose to kind of use it here to see if they can get any surprise knockouts, but they're just going to take the success and go on.
Yep, Embarrassment going to be using that star to their advantage, taking first place at the checkpoint here as they make their way into Mario Brothers Circuit here. Embarrassment leads. Going to get hit here by that green shell, but still, now it's just 4 people down. Now you got to be 16 for better to continue on.
More than likely, those were just our NPCs, a couple of them falling out of the way. But again, you still have to play the track right. So, you still have to grab your items now and know that there's still a long, straight road ahead as you're coming out of the last corners. Get your rails, get yourself going here. A Squash leading the way now of the head of the pack. I mean, it's still not much separation. There's not much of a chance to kind of get yourself separated and pull ahead in that regard.
As now we officially exit Mario Bros. Circuit here after traveling in reverse. Squash currently leading the pack, as you mentioned, with the crown on top of that burger head. William Cree, however, making the move here with that Wiggler, taking that tight line. Meanwhile, Benta with the Mega Mushroom trying to find their way up to the front here as we're heading over, I believe, to Choco Mountain next. So it's going to be determined on how well these players are able to make these shortcuts. You already see why intermissions are so widely hated. You could just do stuff like this all the time.
Yeah, but there's still a lot of fundamentals, remember, because people are losing coins, people are gaining coins. We are getting to the point where if you still don't have double digits of coins, or if you've been taking a lot of hits, you're going to start to see it reflected in a lot of those base stats, and you'll start to fall behind. You'll start to lose those items, and you'll have to try to make it up.
Right now, it looks like William Cree leads, Bowser Boy second, Jinja in third, and now we head over to Choco Mountain where you have this massive shortcut you can take in between the Choco Valleys. This is all one single shortcut you can take with a single golden mushroom, probably one of the most beneficiary shortcuts in the game as Jinja makes full use of it and is leading heading into Choco Mountain.
And that's the other part of this, right? You can't just plan for one map. You have to plan for the whole stretch. So knowing your maps and knowing where you're going, what you're coming into, and what shortcuts are ahead is so important. Wow.
William falling all the way back to 13th after that, but thankfully does move on. No one seems to be eliminated just yet as we're heading into our next stretch here from Choco Mountain.
I mean, it's slowly but surely we are closing the gaps here. And William going to go ahead and use those mushrooms on that next swamp to try to trade their way out. Yet another long segment, so it's going to be a chance for everybody to kind of go ahead and build that up. Blue shell out from William Cree means you'll have a space for a better item down the road.
And then what's noteworthy is that this next checkpoint, only 12 people can move on from this next checkpoint, which you may think that's easy. But if one rogue CPU is better than one player, then that player is getting eliminated. So anything can happen here. Right now, J-Dash currently in second. Kayoya leading here in the Pauline. So it's going to be up to these two players to try and make advantage of that as J-Dash now taking the slipstream with the speed advantage, taking that lead for now.
It's a long, long road ahead. We are basically almost to the halfway point. There's our lightning strike. It does disrupt a lot, but still no one quite leading the way out from it all. I believe that is a Daisy up in the front up there now.
I believe that is Squash, actually, who's taking the lead right now with the Toad right now. Embarrassment currently in 12th. However, I mentioned again, 12th place is the minimum. Right now, Embarrassment on the edge of their seat, trying to get themselves into the next round. The question is there anyone behind them? Yes, Bowser Boy taking that golden mushroom. Now Kayoya falling back. Kayoya was in the lead earlier, now currently looking on the fringe of elimination.
Oh no,
J-Dash! Exactly what's going to happen. Kayoya is out. J-Dash, meanwhile, falling back. They only finished 11th, so they are still alive for the moment. But you can tell the intensity is ramping up with only 8 people now advancing from the next checkpoint.
Yeah, and again, this is still relevant for a lot of those players in second, third, and fourth, right? We were kind of talking about how it's very close, but a first place could mean a drastic shift here. So still a chance. This wild card moment from this rally could be huge. And
if I'm looking, it seems like 2 players were eliminated. One was Kayoya, the other was William Cree. Again, a top contender for most of the day, eliminated in that 12th checkpoint, which means we do have 2 CPUs who are still alive. One of them, I believe, is that Bitty Buddy right in front of Kane right now.
Well, that's got to be a little bit annoying to know that that's on the way there. Now cutting down to 8th here, and we are still in that next bit of an intermission portion. So again, players need to get some sort of an item. You need to have something going into this because 8th is sneaking up on you very quickly. You have to have a strong item going into this last bit.
And the most interesting part about this last bit is that you can see that track configuration. It's not just going to be a straight intermission. You're going to be racing partially on Mario Bros. Circuit 3 to end off this intermission. So there's a chance you can make or break a move here. Right now, Embarrassment and Jinja currently at the top positions here. The blue shell coming in play here. Embarrassment looks like they're going to get hit by that now as Squash toward the back, currently 9th place in the fringes of elimination. That CPU Parabitty Bunny is right in front of him still, just putting all this pressure onto Squash, who's now back in 8th right now. Still trying to stay alive. Awoken, I believe, got knocked out of that top spot with the Wiggler right now. Trying to keep up as the double bullet bill brings them out to the front. Oh! A lightning dodge! Everyone gets hit by that except for Cade, who makes it through with the Mega Mushroom, as now we head to the final checkpoint. Squash trying to stay alive here with 6th place in their name. They're
so
just
close.
Barely going to be able to make it through. Awoken makes it through as well. Several players getting eliminated there because of that.
Wow. I mean, just on the wire, we are down to our top 4 now, and a blue shell in the way. I believe that is Jinja, who, again, this is what I was talking about. Some of these players, maybe you struggled in the initial of it. This is where, like, being good at these knockouts, these kinds of odd moments can do you a favor.
Jinja, Ember, Bento, both in the position right now. Ember, however, falling very far behind. Kane, however, is gone. Am I correct in saying J-Dash is out of the competition?
J-Dash is out, I believe, yes.
It's a massive. This could be a good points opportunity for multiple people.
Oh,
J-Dash leading. Jinja starting to fall back a little bit, but still has a little bit of time to catch up here as we head over to Acorn Heights. It all comes down to that final section again for Acorn Heights. You can head on that little section at the ending, so there is still potential here. It all comes down to these final few corners. Ember's going to use the bullet bill, goes through this shortcut section, trying to make their way up to the front of the pack. Currently on the fringes right now in 4th place. Aqua Twist currently holding on to that final position. Blue Shell could change the field. It's exactly what it's going to do. The rest of the pack now all close together. Jinja going to be taking this shortcut up. Can they make it to the top 4 before the shortcut? You can see the gate in the distance. Jinja trying to catch up, currently in 5th. Aqua Twist right in front of him. But Aqua Twist has an extra mushroom. Jinja looks like they might be eliminated. That's exactly what will happen. Jinja is out. Bento currently leads as we head to the final lap on Acorn Heights, and they're off the track.
What a race towards the end there. Bento now in the top 4. This is it. We're going to have our final section coming into the last track of the race. And again, I see a golden mushroom there for Bento. That's probably their best hope to kind of sneak up and steal us from behind.
Awoken, Squash, Aqua Twist, Bento. That's your top 4 right now. Awoken currently leads as they take the shortcut on the final corner here of Acorn Heights. Squash is the only person not to take that shortcut. Now everyone trying to take the vine cut. Squash unfortunately misses. That's not ideal at all if you're Squash, who's still trying to take the lead. At the end of the day, it's Awoken winning. Squash falls off the track. It's going to be Awoken in first, Bento in second, Aqua Twist in third, and Squash rounding out the field in 4th at the end of the knockout rally.
Awoken clearing that rally means that they are going to lock down 2nd place, so kudos to them. But again, it's just fascinating because we saw so many names pop up for the longest time. Ginger, Aqua Twist did phenomenally well in that rally segment, but just the rest of the pool segment just not their game. So, you know, maybe there is something to it. Maybe we need to do more rallies. Maybe I'm crazy. I don't know. But it was nice to see those players kind of sneak in and show that they can fight in their own way.
And that shows that sometimes you might be good in one aspect of Mario Kart World, but the other aspects you still need improving on. While J-Dash right now is the champion of the tournament, most of that was just because of that 12 race Grand Prix.
Yes.
If it weren't for that, they probably wouldn't have been called the champion. Because again, Awoken, the guy in second, we were talking about how Awoken needed a good finish. Awoken could have definitely stolen this if J-Dash was even more unlucky in Knockout Rally.
Yeah, there's a lot of moments where you can see if 1 or 2 things had gone slightly different, we would have been able to tell what was going on. But we have our numbers being crunched as we speak, so we'll have those up briefly. We do know 1 and 2. Yep. So at least we have that. But the rest of the question is, what does the rest of the field look like? Because 3, I think, was pretty contestable.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be interesting to see how these go. The main thing I should mention, of course, is the score bonus. So obviously the Knockout Tour was for score bonus. The way it works is 24th gets a 2% extra score bonus, 23rd gets 3rd, 23rd gets a 3%, 22, 4%, continue up to 1st, who gets a 20% score bonus from their final score. And it looks like we're ready to get those final standings underway here for the first New England Summer Cup, while some of our players are taking a picture of everyone in the field in the game. That's one of the fun parts of Mario Kart World, because the photo feature, you can take a photo of everyone in the lobby as well. So As we take a look at our final standings at the end of the day, your champion is J-Dash, totaling out at 167 points. Awoken securing up that second place with 139. William Cree in third with 113. Squash in fourth with 103. Ember in fifth with 101. And Jinja rounding out the top half with 96 points in sixth place.
That's crazy because players like Squash, who had dominated our last chance qualifier, and William Cree, who was so dominant in our second one, like, it's just crazy to think about that. Ember, who plays phenomenally well in the Winter Cup as well, and Jinja, who would flashes of brilliance, genuinely flashes of brilliance, where we saw Jinja, have a couple first places and then do so well in that rally segment to end up in sixth. I think you're like happy with that, but you still know that there's room for improvement. You know that you can come down and take it. Considering Jinja is one of our few non-New Englanders, I think that's a good showing from outside of the region.
Yeah, definitely. What a showing from all of these players, regardless of their performance in this tournament. What a great tournament we were able to host here. But now,
I am not J-Dash.
No, you're not.
No, you're not. You're not J-Dash. You are Awoken. You can take your second place trophy. Congratulations on second place. There you go. Perfect, very good performance, and a really good job on the knockout rally.
Very good on the knockout side. Beautifully done.
You're getting a trophy. Come over here.
Yeah.
You get trophies, yes. You actually get trophies.
You got a beautiful first place trophy here with, well, your hypothetical name on it. Yeah. Well, congratulations. First time for
That's the first place one. This is the third one.
Yep.
Congratulations to all of you. Incredible racing today. It was genuinely a pleasure.
Yeah, between the normal circuits and the knockout rally. Yep, come on down.
Come on down.
We'll get
Camera's
you in
there.
frame. Camera's right there, so yeah, squat on down. Unless you're J-Dash, in which case you could probably just, there you go. That works.
You're Bowsy.
You're in the way, Bowsy.
There we go. I'm trying
There
to.
we go.
There we go. Ah! I didn't know
Beautifully
you were fully
done from all three of our podium placers. Real quick, J-Dash, question to you. Third place in the Winter Cup, first place today. How you feeling, man?
Feels
Beautiful.
great.
Beautiful,
That's the word
man.
on the street.
Well, congratulations. Thank you also very much for the incredible, incredible racing today. And, I mean, hey, get on out there, pack up your switches, get on with the rest of the day. And we'll see you. We'll catch you at future events, I guess.
Yeah, hopefully we'll see you in more Mario Kart World events in the future.
It's been awesome so far. I'm having a lot of fun.
Yeah, glad to hear. Hopefully more Mario Kart World events come out in the future.
I was skeptical about the knockout tour, but that was the most fun part of the tournament, I think. Not even just because I won. Like, that was actually, like, fucking biased because you won. By the time we got to Acorn Heights, I was shaking. I could not drive. I was so nervous.
I mean, it's because it's so intense. Like, you don't expect it to be that intense, but, like, it
got real. It got very real in that.
Oh, yeah.
But, yeah, congratulations.
Congratulations, guys. One and all.
Oh, don't get me started on that.
Oh, gosh. The swinginess of Mario will never end. No matter who you are, where you race, it will always, always get you in the end.
Yeah, at the end, it's Mario Kart. But you know what? It's a new Mario Kart. It's a new day. A new champion has been crowned. And we got to experience some of the best Mario Kart in the first month of this brand new game. So I think at the end of the day, we all win here today.
Oh, everybody's a winner. And, I mean, if nothing else, this is where it starts. Imagine where we're going to be in half a year, in a year, with the skill level from the incredible talent that raced today and showed us just some incredible Mario Kart.
Absolutely. So that is pretty much the end of the first LAN tournament. Want to give some special shout outs. First off, a special shout out to New Blue, who helped out with all the graphics that you saw for every single standing across the entirety of the day, as well as these amazing graphics you see below our heads right now, as well as Asco Productions, which helped out with some of the equipment, and of course, OneUp Games for hosting the venue here, as well as our amazing producer Dave, who helped out with so much of it. But get over here.
Hey.
That's our boy. That's our boy who streamed only dropped once. We're beautifully done.
Only drop once, knock on wood, before we end the stream. But with that out of the way, thank you all of you for watching here and coming out and watching the New England Winter Cup here, the first Mario Kart World Major LAN tournament.
Summer,
not winter. My season.
I can't wait for the Winter Cup either, Bowsy. I'm excited for it already too.
Yeah, well, I mean, imagine where we're going to be in a couple of months' time after this.
Gosh.
So, what a strong performance! But thank you all of you for watching. For my wonderful co-caster Soav Danam, who was happy to join me on the guest desk for this entire time, as well as our amazing producer Dave. My name has been Bowsy, and till we meet again, we hope you all have an amazing night.
Bye bye.